the strongest technician of the Hidden Sand Village. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51. Return to the village. After several months of training and fierce fighting on Mount Kakayo, Shiraishi returned to Sunagakure village with his master Ibizo in April of the 43rd year of Sunagakure, that is, the 44th year of Konoha Point. Feeling the temperature of the wind and sand, when Shiraishi stepped at the entrance of the village, the scene of leaving Sunagakure village last year was vivid in his mind. Now that he has returned again, he unexpectedly has a kind feeling towards the village point. In addition to Shiraishi and Ibizo, there are many other Sunagakure ninjas from all walks of life who were transferred back from the Kakayo mountain front line, and even Kitajima's King Kong Barbie Point. As Sunagakure and Konoha entered a relative buffer period, the top management also began to work on the next round of arrangements. Shiraishi took off his glasses, picked up a piece of cloth, and wiped them a few times, and looked at Ibizo. Are you going to the Kazekage's office next? Of course, Kazekage is looking forward to meeting you. The fourth Kazekage Rasa is currently in his office, reading through Shiraishi's battlefield performance and various magical techniques he developed. During this period of time, this young man's amazing talent has made the Sunagakure village shout that he is a genius compared to Konoha, the cradle of genius. How many strong people have there been in Sunagakure over the years? The existence of Shiraishi makes Sunagakure feel like a treasure. Coupled with the operation of certain forces, Shiraishi is vaguely cultivated into a new generation of Sunagakure, and is cultivated as the future 5th generation Kazekage Point, the hope of the new generation. The 5th generation Kazekage. These rumors that irritated the 4th Kazekage. The 4th Kazekage couldn't tell whether they were a campaign by the elders or a means to alienate the big families. However, due to Shiraishi's rise to prominence, the pressure on Konoha has been reduced, and the already serious conflicts within Sunagakure seem to have resurfaced. Inspire possibilities. It's a shame. If only Maki was a few years younger. Maki is 3 years older than Shiraishi, but due to entering the battlefield earlier and some special reasons, although he was promoted to Chunin just 2 years ago, he quickly rose to jounin in the next 3 months. He has outstanding strength and his confidant Maki has reached the limit of this generation point. However, most people in the village regard Maki as a ninja of the same generation as themselves. In addition to his close relationship with him, Maki looks too anxious and looks like an uncle. After Shiraishi was tempered in the battle at Kakayo Mountain, he has been recognized as the leader of the new generation, especially his strong research and development capabilities. Many people in the elder group even shouted that he is the hope for the rise of Sunagakure in the future. With such an outstanding disciple, the power of the elders group became more and more arrogant. In order to balance the family forces such as Erikawa and Shanlu, Luosha used the elders group to contain them. Now it seems that the balance is beginning to tip towards the elders group. It is not easy for Sunagakure to be the head of the family. He has a lot of things to worry about, especially now that there is another voice in the village that is extremely unfavorable to Luosha. That is, they accused Rasa of deliberately not retrieving the 3rd Kazekage for the sake of the Kazekage's position, and even misled the village to point the conflict at Konoha. These rumors were destructive, but they made it impossible for the 4th Kazekage to understand himself. How is Giruro's health? As soon as Ibizo entered the Kazekage office with Shiraishi, he asked about the current situation of Rasa's wife Garura. Some time ago, during an escort mission, Galileo accidentally encountered an ambush. During the battle, she suffered excessive losses and was forced to abort her first child. Since she had not expected to encounter combat during her escort mission, now Galileo was assassinated and lost her child, which also laid the foundation for her physical weakness. If she continued to have children in the future, disaster would happen at any time. Luosha once advised Galileo not to be overly obsessed with having children, but Luosha's family is now the only one left, and the 3 Shadun lineages are almost turning into 2 Shadun lineages. Galileo, who insists on bringing honor to the family for her husband, seems to be uncompromising on this matter. She is still recuperating, and Yoshimaru is staying with her. After Adjusting her mentality, Alyosha looked at Shiraishi with a gentle smile. No matter what, as a shadow in the village, she should be more happy to have an outstanding newcomer like Shiraishi. The appointment letters for assessments and appraisals, including S-level tasks such as killing the Konoha sensing class, were all included in Shiraishi's point reward. During the entire liquidation process, Shiraishi unexpectedly discovered that he seemed to have made a lot of money. It seemed that his mouth was a little dry. After Alyosha quickly took a sip of water, he picked up an appointment scroll and handed it to Shiraishi. Here is an appointment letter. Shiraishi's work and arrangements in the village for the next period of time are what Alyosha and the elders have long negotiated. He will serve as the assistant principal of the ninja school and assist the principal in various daily tasks. Since he is an assistant, and because of Shiraishi's own age, he does not need to attend classes or other things. As for the principal of this ninja school, Ibizo is currently serving as the principal, so Shiraishi is Ibizo's assistant. To be precise, when working in the school, Shiraishi basically works on a temporary basis, mainly following Ibizo and the entire group of elders in the next phase of their training plan. Now Shiraishi is Ibizo's hidden treasure, so this temporary job in name only is the arrangement of the elders. There are only 2 months left for the New Year's Sand ceremony. You read www.ukanshu.net. You will be the master of ceremonies, even if Sunagakure starts a new year in the middle of the year. Last year's Sand Festival seems to have just passed. After leaving Kazekage's office and temporarily separated from Ibizo, Shiraishi went directly to the castle wall workshop before going home. According to the records in Shirogakishansu's letters, the gloves made of deep sea mithril are now beginning to take shape, but their density and flexibility are very fragile, making them almost impossible to use as weapons in combat. According to Shirogakiji idea, Shiraishi designed such a glove, which should have strong defensive properties, and allow him to use the gloves to fight with bare hands. However, it is really difficult to choose a strange material like deep sea mithril as the raw material. I have tried integrating a variety of strange materials, but I have never been able to successfully combine them with deep sea mithril. Although the flexibility is poor, the deep sea mithril gloves have special plasticity. This pair of silver gloves has different patterns on both sides, as if to represent the yin and yang sides, and a special groove is left in the middle according to Shiraishi's requirements. According to Shirogakiji understanding, the control area at the core of the deep sea mithril glove is the entire groove, but he cannot understand how it is designed. To make such a glove a complete weapon. The palm is divided into yin and yang, and the ever-changing deep sea mithril has similar main properties to mercury, but has stronger chakra adhesion ability. As for the original intention of the glove design, Shiraishi did not intend to design it according to the concept of traditional ninja gloves. P.S. Temari was born in August of 1945 in Konoha. She gets home at 8 or 9 every day, takes a break, and has to code. She has to get up at 6 o'clock during the day to go to work. She really doesn't have time to save manuscripts. Sometimes it's really hard. There will be a lot of typos and sentences. Please be considerate. If there are any mistakes, please point them out in this chapter. I will correct them when I see them. Chapter 52, New Interface. Thank you very much. The gloves are in very good condition. Shiraishi had Shiraishi build it as a semi-finished product, and he still needed to design and make the core groove part himself. However, even so, the exquisite patterns and special yin and yang separation design on the gloves are very suitable for Shiraishi. I'm also looking forward to seeing the gloves in full condition. This pair of gloves took half a year from polishing to completion. The Qingyuan family used all their craftsmanship to create such a deep sea mithril glove. Seeing that Shiraishi was still very satisfied with the workmanship of the gloves, Shirogakiji breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, he began to care about Shiragakiji's situation. Listening to Shiraishi's description of the battle at Mount Kakayo, Shirogakiji's eyes flickered, and he was very satisfied with his son's performance. Being able to kill so many Aochimaru's psychic beasts on the battlefield, even though it was only the most common, also showed that his son had grown up. At first, Shirogakishan lost several years in ninja school in order to hone Shiragakiji's weapon forging and puppetry skills. Now he has excellent teammates like Shiraishi and Maki to make up for the few years he spent in ninja school. Do you have a clue now about the groove part? There are only some small ideas at the moment, but I still need to ask Granny Chiyo about how to make it. Regarding the production of the groove part, Shiraishi could only find Granny Chiyo, Sunagakure's strongest puppet master. After all, Chiyo's ability far surpassed that of the Shirogaki family in terms of the entire machine learning attainment, and she was one of the few remaining machine masters in the world. Shiraishi's answer did not exceed Shirogaki Shunbasa's expectation. No one in this world, except Granny Chiyo, can solve many problems in creating this pair of gloves with deep sea mithril point in the Oasis Ring area. Ibizo had just returned home to rest for a while when he received news that Shiraishi had come to visit Chiyo. You kid, why do you have so many things to do? Why don't you have a good rest when you get home? Why do you come here to ask for advice on some mechanism skills? Before he even met Chiyo, Shiraishi was scolded by Ibizo. Why is this kid so hardworking and starting to study puppets and machine techniques before he even gets home? It's a good thing to have a wide range of knowledge, but it shouldn't distract you too much. Even if you master more than 1,000 techniques, you may only be able to use 6 or 7 techniques on the battlefield to save your life. Ibizo was very worried that Shiraishi would go astray and develop so many new techniques crazily, which would eventually lead to him being too distracted and accomplishing nothing. I'll be careful to use caution. Haha, he should have come to ask me about the deep sea mithril. Granny Chiyo came out with a smile. During Shiraishi's absence in the village, Shirogaki Shunbasa visited several times and asked for help about some problems in the forging gloves. Chiyo actually has a lot of questions about these gloves because she doesn't understand how Shiraishi positions and uses these gloves and has no way to give effective suggestions to Shirogaki Hayabusa. Now that Shiraishi returns to Sand Hidden Village, he must be the first person to look for her. For this pair of gloves, I want to create a device that absorbs and transforms chakra. Shiraishi opened a scroll, and a structural diagram of a pointer-shaped device with a very complex design appeared inside. Chiyo and Ibizo observed the design for a long time, with a hint of weirdness in their eyes. So, use the plasticity of deep sea mithril and combine it with your telekinesis characteristics to create this kind of deformed glove. Chiyo felt that Shiraishi was going to a lot of trouble to do this kind of thing. The ninja weapons were sealed, and there were scrolls that could replace them. Why did he need to get these gloves? To use shaped mercury to simulate weapon combat? Compared to Chiyo's puzzlement, Ibizo thought more. He vaguely guessed why Shiraishi insisted on building such a weapon. Do you want to increase the speed of telekinesis spells? Shiraishi did not deny this. Yes, because sometimes I feel that my spelling speed cannot keep up, and at the same time I need stronger computing power. In fact, Shiraishi has his own judgment on the subsequent improvement of telekinesis. Although he has not obtained the telekinesis card, which makes him unable to practice gravity, he has already known the card's location due to his 100% proficiency in telekinesis, so he will naturally have the opportunity to obtain it in the future. One of the branch directions of telekinesis is telekinesis moving objects with telekinesis gravity. As time goes by, the requirements and precision of the technique become more and more complex. Using the deep sea gloves to increase the speed of chakra absorption and transfer, making the technique faster, is Shiraishi's main purpose. In creating this ninja point computing power, Ibizo grasped some key points and looked at Shiraishi with a very serious look. Then what is your direction in improving your computing power? Is it to stimulate brain cells and nerves? This method is too extreme and backward. I will find a safer way. Shiraishi was full of disdain for this method of catching fish from the lake. Not to mention, whether the method was feasible or not was still open to question. There is a question mark over whether the computing power will be enhanced by overexploitation of brain cells, and it is even possible to become a patient with mental illness. Shiraishi is even more eager for his brain to be connected to the powerful supercomputer in the memory fragments, which can complete tens of millions of calculations in an instant. However, the reality is cruel. Although computers in this world have been developed, UU Reading www.ukanshu.net is still very backward in performance. Therefore, Shiraishi direction is a huge computing power model shared by multiple people's minds. The ninja world also has the magical experience sharing method of shadow clone. As a unique technique of Konoha, the principles of it inspired Shiraishi a lot. Seeing Abizo's worried look, Shiraishi suddenly felt helpless. Master, why do you think I would do such a stupid thing? Deep down, Shiraishi was still a little touched. At least Abizo's care for him was sincere. Regarding the issue of gloves, Chiyo still needs to think about it. This thing is extremely difficult to make, and even she is not sure about it. It would be nice if Scorpion was still here. The Scorpion's technology was very powerful when he was still in Hidden Sand Village. He could create puppets with different abilities, and he could also transform the dead into human puppets. Scorpion is the only puppet master who can make human puppets, and they are made with the chakra from his life, so he can completely retain all the ninjutsu and blood inheritance limits of his life. This is the biggest advantage of human puppets. The technical secret of the human puppet is precisely the key point of the Shiraishi deep sea mithril gloves this time, which is the problem of memory storage and transfer in chakra point. While Shiraishi was still thinking about the glove issue, a frame suddenly appeared in his glasses system, indicating the emergence of a new interface refresh point. This refresh was almost silent and was completed instantly without Shiraishi's attention. When I opened the glasses system, I found that the interface was not much different from the original interface, but if you look carefully, you will notice the difference. This is the fruit planting interface. PS. It's just related to the settings of various fruits in the PM world. It's not something from other worlds. Don't think too much about it. Chapter 53, Fruit. The fruit planting system is a new interface in the glasses system, which is mainly used to manufacture some special purpose fruit materials. The entire fruit planting process is divided into 5 stages according to the system: planting, germination, growth, flowering and fruiting. The harvested fruit is usually of the same type as the one planted, but sometimes it is mixed with other fruit. There are currently a total of 19 skill cards in Shiraishi's hand. According to the system interface settings, 19 times of tree fruit energy are randomly selected. Shiraishi can import these energies into some plants in nature and enter the planting state. The seeds inside the fruited tree fruits can be continued to be planted to cultivate new tree fruits. Of course, there is a certain chance that other types of tree fruits will mutate. Are there other types of tree fruits, like some kind of game interface style? The fruit tree system in the glasses began to randomly select the situation on a special Gashapan machine-shaped virtual device with a group of golden light shining. The first tree fruit seed was quickly unlocked. The bright red petal-like shape gives people a pleasant aroma from the outside. It has berry fruit and purple quality. After eating it for a period of time, it can weaken its power and strengthen its resistance when attacked by dragon type moves. Dragon attribute. At present, Shiraishi has not yet mastered the dragon attribute moves, but judging from the interface display, the dragon attribute should be classified the same as the fairy attribute, and they are both a type of natural energy. This shows that this tree fruit can strengthen the resistance against certain types of magic groups. It seems that there should be very large ethnic groups in the ninja world, and some ethnic groups should have dragon attributes according to the data. Although the fruit cannot be stored for a long time, it can be minced to make special military food pills to enhance a certain state of oneself in a short period of time. In order to test the planting time of berries, Shiraishi chose a small plant in his backyard for testing. Do you want to import tree fruit energy? After Shiraishi confirmed the content of the pop-up interface box, a special golden light appeared and blended into the plant. Soon, a special sheen appeared around the sapling, indicating that the preliminary planting was completed. After completing the planting of the first plant, Shiraishi then extracted a large number of tree fruits. In the remaining dozen or so fruit extractions, Shiraishi extracted 3 more purple quality tree fruits, and the rest were of white quality. For example, purple quality chocolate fruit has a unique spicy pink fruit. After taking it, the user will gain resistance to the power of fire. Similar to the previous berries, this type of tree fruit is used to improve one's resistance to fire. Among the next 17 types of tree fruits, There are also 1000 fragrance fruit that enhances water attribute resistance, and candlewood that resists thunder attribute fruit point except for these 4 kinds of purple tree fruits. The rest of the tree fruits are all ordinary white quality. They are various types of tree fruits with different flavors, and contain different tastes. Although these fruits can add different textures to Shiraishi's daily cooking, this use is relatively useless. Of course, if they are planted, there is a certain chance that other types of fruits can be mutated and grown. According to Shiraishi's speculation, the probability of mutating white fruit of the same type is higher, and it should be more difficult to produce fruit of other qualities. The last time he drew, Shiraishi suddenly paused. He felt a little tired after drawing the white tree fruit so many times. He planned to give up, but in the end, Shiraishi pressed it anyway, betting on his character this time. The golden light that blooms as the light continues to shine and circle indicates that the white stone has finally produced a golden quality tree fruit after 19 extractions. Golden quality golden pillow fruit has a very bitter taste. You will become smarter after taking it, clever, develop biological brain cells, and allow them to gain extremely high intelligence. Although these fruits are not of much use to Beishi, they can be eaten by their own psychic beasts, making them even smarter. There are currently 19 skill cards. As long as you get one more card, you can unlock the second psychic beast card slot, and the appearance of the golden pillow fruit can help you increase your own psychic beast point. After completing this, Shiraishi began to take out a letter, holding a pen, and thinking about what to write to Jounin. The night before leaving Mount Kikyo, Shiraishi promised Jounin that he would write letters to Jounin regularly after returning to the village. After making the promise at that time, but now when it comes to actually writing, it seems that he doesn't know what to write. Then let's report it's safe first. We have returned to the village successfully, so there is no need to worry. Shiraishi was extremely serious when writing. He picked up the pen and wrote his first letter to Maki stroke by stroke very seriously. Although he only had this sentence this time, after finishing it, Shiraishi sealed it and put it in the Sunagakure dedicated mailing channel. For some reason, Shiraishi suddenly felt a little nervous. In order to suppress his emotions, he quickly picked up the silver knife and went to the training ground to practice. In the wind and sand flying all over the sky, a young man in white suddenly danced with a silver knife in his hand. Reading www.ukanshu.net created extremely brilliant tactical fluctuations with the knife in his hand. The whirlwind spread around the knife and turned into billowing waves. Blade of Wind. Although he has mastered many new skills, for Shiraishi, the most important thing is his own physical fitness. The most important thing is the comprehensive development of taijutsu, genjutsu, and ninjutsu. The knife kept refracting and returning in Beishi's hand. Under the sharp light of the knife, Beishi was a little absent-minded today. It was the first time he wrote a letter to Jounin. This method of expressing his thoughts on paper made him a little scared and uneasy. He was deeply afraid that Jounin would hate his simple one-sentence letter. The more he thought about it, the redder Shiraishi's face became, as if the heat was a bit unbearable for him. The silver knife rotated rapidly, and the combination of chakra lines and telekinesis projected out at the same time. At the moment when the silver knife was swung, Shiraishi's taijutsu style is a combination of telekinesis, chakra threads, and silver swords. The invisible chakra threads and the silver swords that cast high-speed whirlwinds, combined with hard and soft fighting methods, combined with high-speed movement and sand gathering assistance, allow Shiraishi to the standing ability in battle, is greatly improved. The movement of telepathy under his feet became more and more intense, and Shiraishi's whole body was seen to be off the ground. The silver knife in his hand began to rotate at high speed, creating powerful killing waves on the training ground. It attracted the attention of many people around. After all, Shiraishi's home was arranged by the village, and its neighbors were also the residences of village ninjas. Many people also needed to go to the training ground to train while recuperating at home, so they naturally saw Shiraishi's combat training. I thought he was only talented in R/U0026D skills, but now it seems that he also attaches great importance to basic physical skills. An older ninja, looking at the after image of Shiraishi moving at high speed, couldn't help but sigh at the young man's growth rate. PS. The timeline is about to jump significantly. Chapter 54, Puppet Assembly, Part 1. In Kakayo Mountain, when Jounin got a letter from Shiraishi, Shirogakiji on the side, put on his sunglasses as usual, and turned away from looking at Jounin, who had a trace of happiness all over his body. Since the war between Konoha and Sunagakure has basically eased, Kakayo Mountain has basically stabilized a lot. Some of the damaged war defenses have been repaired bit by bit, and Shirogakiji and Maki are also growing rapidly. Currently, Maki mainly practices telekinesis, combined with some medical ninjutsu and sealing techniques, which constitute her main combat power mode. Shirogakiji's 2 red butterfly fish were modified by himself and combined into a special humanoid puppet. Red point compared with other ninjutsu, any part of the puppet can be recycled, making it an excellent configuration on the battlefield. Especially before the popularity of Tsunade's medical ninjutsu, the puppet combined with the sand hidden poison technique was almost a nightmare for all countries in terms of potions and poisons. Both of them have dabbled in the art of potions and poisons, but they are not very good at it. Ye Cang requires more of the 2 of them to protect themselves than to fight. It's just a sentence. This guy is so true. Although he was wearing sunglasses, Shirogakiji couldn't help but peek at the scroll in his hand. When he saw that the letter written by Shiraishi had only 1 sentence, he finally couldn't help but complain. It is enough to confirm each other's safety through letters. Jounin didn't care what Shiraishi wrote. Soon she also picked up a pen and looked at Shiraishi's handwriting. The girl smiled and then started to reply to Shiraishi. There were about a few thousand words in the reply, and Shirogaki was speechless after reading it. Unexpectedly, Jounin's writing style was quite good. The handwriting in this reply was very delicate, which showed that Jounin was replying seriously. It seems that my sunglasses cannot block the light of the 2 of them. Most of them are related to telekinesis, including your confusion. Although they have initially mastered the telekinesis technique since practicing, many details and techniques are still unclear. In fact, the last half of the letter she wrote is filled with various practice issues. If you don't improve your own strength, how can you be with him in the future? Therefore, Jounin also practices very hard, and being able to master so many special sealing techniques in a short period of time also shows that she is talented in this area. Half year later, early Konoha 45, Sunagakure village, Kazekage office. Luo Shao is processing a large amount of official documents and information in his office. However, the Third Ninja War was clouded, and various incidents made him upset. More than half a year has passed since the first battle on Mount Kakayo. After this period of strategic reserve, Sunagakure has gradually recovered a certain amount of strength. However, the crisis is not over yet. Both Iwagakure and Kirigakure have asked Sunagakure to carry out the next round of attacks on Konoha. Military offensive. At the same time, in the Apocalypse Mountains at the junction of Sunagakure and Iwagakure, many signs of Iwagakure ninja activity gradually gathered, which made everyone in the Kingdom of Wind very nervous due to the geographical location. Kirigakure is currently only urging Sunagakure to speed up its revenge on Konoha. At the same time, they themselves are constantly sending a large number of ninjas to the area bordering the Land of Fire to start a war between Konoha and Kirigakure at any time. The current pattern of the Ninja World War is still relatively restrained on all sides, but as Iwagakure and Kirigakure gradually join the war, I'm afraid that the war will become more and more tragic. Maki walked in and handed over the latest official document from Iwagakure. Kazekage-sama, this is an invitation letter from Iwagakure. I hope that Sunagakure and Iwagakure will jointly hold the Chunin examination. Chunin exam. Iwagakure's request made Rasa frown. Now the children in the ninja school, who have some strength, have graduated early and are scheduled to go to the battlefield. The remaining strength base is very weak. Going to the Kingdom of Earth. Obviously, the Earth country wants to take advantage of the opportunity of the joint Chunin examination to show its strength and increase pressure on the Wind country so that Sunagakure can strengthen its offensive against Konoha as soon as possible. If this is the case, then except for the Kazekage, the jounin leading the team must not be too weak, otherwise they will be completely suppressed by Iwagakure's momentum. But the power that the village can borrow currently still, the strength and potential of these children are average. If they go to the Kingdom of Earth, according To the tough and fierce personality of the Earth country, any accident is likely to happen in the Chunin exam. Although Rasa does not particularly value this group of civilian genin, he is not willing to lose the power of the village in vain. Maki, you will be responsible for leading the team this time. I also need a few more guards. Master Kazekage, what do you think of Shiraishi? Mentioning Shiraishi, Eluosha shook his head. Currently, he only has physical skills that can meet the requirements of a jounin. In other aspects, he is still at the chunin level. For a particularly powerful jounin, serving as a bodyguard is too. He is now a well-known research and development ninja in the ninja world. Being a guard is not based on strength, but on his current reputation. During the Battle of Mount Kikayo, Shiraishi's self-invented black mist technique was somewhat famous in the ninja world. Shirogakure overseas had heard of Sunagakure's technique, and even sent people over to try to exchange it, but Rasa refused to drive him away. Although the technique itself is special, you reading www.ukanshu.net, but the boy who created this technique was still a child who had just graduated from ninja school. In addition, the later stage perception class at Kikayo Mountain was destroyed by his team, and Shiraishi's information was suddenly placed on the desks of high-level officials from various countries. I'm going to contact some elders. In the backyard of Shiraishi's house, Shiraishi, who has grown much taller, is wearing glasses and holding documents to record the growth process of the saplings in front of him. The fruit seeds planted half a year ago grew into small saplings little by little over half a year. Although the cycle was very slow, Shiraishi unexpectedly discovered that these saplings were very resistant to the environment. Completely different from other plants in the Kingdom of Wind, these special saplings can thrive in harsher environments, especially the white quality tree fruits. Although their fruits are only fruits with a special taste, they can improve the scenery of the wind in the future country's environment. After completing his daily basic work, Shiraishi rubbed his eyes, put on a set of casual clothes, and went directly to Ibizo and Chiyo's home in the Oasis Ring area. Regarding her glove problem, Chiyo's mother-in-law has not yet found a proper solution, so Shiraishi spends most of her time in the Oasis area. In addition to continuing to soak in Iba's medicine tank, she also learns basic poison techniques, potion techniques, and puppet techniques from Chiyo technique. Shiraishi's combination of telekinesis and chakra threads is Sunagakure's best at the moment. When Chiyo taught him the basics of puppetry during this period, Shiraishi learned very quickly. After basically all the attention points were explained, Chiyo let Shiraishi make puppets by himself. And Chiyo is indeed the top being among puppet masters. There are a variety of puppet parts in the warehouse, as well as various auxiliary scrolls. Even the Shirogakiji clan of the ninja clan probably doesn't have as many collections as Chiyo's warehouse. You can assemble a puppet that you are satisfied with here. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55, Puppet Assembly, Part 2. There are many puppet mechanisms and parts, and their types and uses are also displayed in detail in the warehouse. Unlike ordinary puppet masters who choose large puppets or human puppets as combat weapons, Shiraishi mainly uses puppets with auxiliary functions. Compared with the traditional puppet masters of Sunagakure, Shiraishi's own melee combat ability is extremely good. It is not a wise thing to give up his own melee combat and choose to use puppets to fight in a roundabout way. Of course, puppetry is also unique. The control of chakra lines is not only puppet manipulation, but also used in various other fields, including medical ninjutsu. Chiyo's puppets prefer to make humanoid puppets. At least there are a lot of messy prosthetic limbs here. Shiraishi picked up a prosthetic arm and pressed it gently. A cold poisonous needle quickly stabbed out of the arm. Various assassination and poisonous techniques that are impossible to guard against are the characteristics of a puppet master. Although there have been few senior puppet masters in Sunagakure in recent years, however, these parts were not of Shiraishi's interest. Looking around at the parts in the warehouse, Shiraishi soon stopped. Sensing element. There is an area deep in the warehouse Although the things inside look a bit old, there is not much dust on weekdays, which shows that Chiyo has been organizing and cleaning. The parts that appear in this area are completely different from the traditional puppet structure existence, and even this extremely special sensing element. Shiraishi looked carefully and found a special mark left under the component, indicating that the maker of this component was the second generation Kazekage Samana. Compared with other Kazekages, the second generation Kazekage Samana is a very good developer. Chiyo, Ibizo and others are all Samana's disciples, and Chiyo directly inherits the mantle of Samana's puppet technique. Of course, he apprenticed under Ibizo's sect, so he was also a disciple and grandson of the second generation Kazekage Samana. These sensing element were props that were researched by Shaman before his death. They were mainly used to develop new types of puppets for the next era. Later, due to a series of accidents such as the Ninja World War and tailed beasts, Shaman did not complete the development of new puppets before his death. According to the design drawings, these puppets gave Shiraishi a more sci-fi feel, and many of the design concepts and ideas were so far ahead of this era that they fell into disuse after Samana's death. After so many years, although Chiyo and Ibizo tried to study these special sensing element left by Master Shaman, they failed without exception, because the structure of this generation of puppets was completely different from the traditional puppets of the past, and the concepts and ideas were completely different from those of the past. Some characteristics of the world. Rather than saying it was a puppet, Shiraishi started to pick up these components one by one, when he thought of it, and then adjusted and configured them one by one according to the parameters left on the components. Shiraishi, who was wearing special props, performed a lot of assembly work. I originally thought that this puppet assembly would be very boring, but now it seems that there are still a lot of secret treasures left in Sunagakure village. Outside the warehouse, Ibizo looked at the bustling movement inside. He was a little curious about what kind of puppet Shiraishi was going to make next. Sister, what kind of puppet do you think he will make? You, an old fox, don't know what this little fox is thinking. How can I know? It's you, the old guy, who entrusted me to open the warehouse for him. Chiyo was also a little helpless about his younger brother, who made him his own brother. In addition, there were indeed no outstanding puppet masters in Sunagakure, so Chiyo agreed to give Shiraishi the right to enter this warehouse. Well, sister, you said that you also think he is extremely talented as a puppet master, although I don't think he is suitable to be a puppet master at all now. Of course I understand, but some things must be passed down. Did you forget what the teacher taught us back then? While the two were waiting, news came from Kazekage Rasa that Iwagakure and Sunagakure would hold the Chunin and examine the Apocalypse Mountains, and they hoped that Shiraishi would serve as Kazekage's guard. That old guy Noki has so many evil ideas. Also, what does Rasa mean this time? The relationship between Iwagakure and Sunagakure is so tense now. If Shiraishi goes to the enemy country, is he waiting to be assassinated by Konoha or Iwagakure and beheaded? Chiyo has a very bad impression of Inoki. The two have also fought many times in the past few ninja wars. Inoki of the two scales is an extremely powerful opponent, and with his selfish character, he may not be able to kill the genius of Sunagakure. I'm afraid I won't have any scruples about face point, even if Iwagakure doesn't take action and sends a message to Konoha, and Boo and the root group will be happy to sneak into Iwagakure and attack Shiraishi. Therefore, the two elders directly rejected Alyosha's suggestion without considering it. As the third generation Tsukikage of Iwagakure village, Inoki has outstanding strength. He is good at earth release ninjutsu. He can use the unique properties of dust release. He is a blood successor who has surpassed the limits of blood succession. He is also one of the few masters among the 5 major countries, one of the flying ninjas. At the same time, he is very arrogant and stubborn. In many ninja wars, Iwagakure has always been strategically proactive. But just talking about being able to fly, with the popularity of telekinesis developed by Shiraishi, it is no longer a rare thing for Sunagakure village. It is precisely because of this that Chiyo is so angry with Rasa that he would even think of letting Shiraishi serve as a bodyguard. But we cannot refuse this Chunin exam, otherwise the war will start early. If Sunagakure directly rejects Iwagakure's request, then it will give Inoki an excuse to launch a war. At that time, tens of thousands of Iwagakure's troops in the Apocalypse Mountains will march straight in and kill Sunagakure's homeland point in terms of the number of ninja preparations in the 5 major ninja villages. Iwagakure ranks first. After Sunagakure's experience with Konoha Kakayo Mountain, the number of troops that can be deployed in the Apocalypse Mountains is only about 5,000. It is very difficult to resist Iwagakure Point currently. The number of freshmen who are about to graduate from Sunagakure Ninja School is close to 1,000. Among them, more than 300 disciples from various families have gone to Mount Kakayo for training. The remaining students have a very weak foundation in strength. Iwagakure proposed that the number of genin places for Sunagakure to lead in the Chunin examination was 30 classes and more than 90 genin. His intentions were very vicious, because the Chunin examination, especially the joint Chunin examination between major powers, was prone to casualties. Iwagakure Hidden is using this method to weaken you Sunagakure. What can you do? In Chiyo's eyes, Ibizo always had many bad ideas, so he asked his younger brother what his plan was. I think Shiraishi should return to his own job now. My job, Ibizo thought for a while and then said, the selection for the Chunin examination. Ukanshu www.ukanshu.net or select new generation genin from the ninja school. As the assistant to the principal, Shiraishi's more important job is to help the Kazekage select outstanding genin. If that's the case, Shiraishi's mere Chunin won't be enough. Then, learn from Konoha and make him a special jounin. There is still a slight difference in the rank system between Sunagakure and Konoha Ninja. Sunagakure does not have a special jounin rank, so even if a certain strength is almost the same as a jounin, he cannot be directly promoted to a jounin. Isn't there a 13-year-old brat in Konoha who has just been promoted to jounin? Will our Sunagakure genius be weaker than that brat? I think he should be promoted to a special jounin position. Compared with Ratsa and Chiyo's concerns, Ibizo was very active in seeking the position of team leader for Shiraishi. There is still more than a month until the joint Chunin begins, so let him train these genin well within this month. During the discussion between the two elders, the inventory door slowly opened. After an afternoon of intense assembly, Shiraishi finally completed his own puppet. When he stepped out of the door, both elders looked in disbelief. This, how can it be? Beishi walked out of the warehouse step by step, his eyes calm and clear. The unique puppet behind him reflected 6 different brilliance under the light. The familiar scene made the two old people feel in a trance for a while. The young man in front of them seemed to overlap with the second generation Kazekage Samana. PS. In the supporting section, the names and abilities of your supporting characters should be normal in all aspects. This will make it easier for me to fill in the supporting characters in the following plot. Someone in the family has passed away in the past few days, and I have to deal with funeral matters tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. I will update it once in the next 2 days, and it will return to normal on Tuesday. I really don't have time to type. Sorry everyone. Chapter 56. The first special jounin in the history of Sunagakure. In Feng Ying's office, Eluosha quickly received a reply from the elders group. In the history of Sunagakure, there has never been a special jounin position, especially jounin, a specialty product of Konoha. Now the elders are demanding that Shiraishi be given such a rank. Isn't this a blatant violation of Sunagakure's tradition? The elders suggested that Shiraishi should train these genin. This is completely based on Konoha's education policy. With the addition of special jounin, it seems that the elders like Konoha's system very much. Ratsa had previously suggested Shiraishi as a guard, which was essentially a test of the elders. Unexpectedly, Ibizo and Chiyo responded by asking Shiraishi to be the instructor, to provide special training for these children. Sunagakure's ninja school is still different from Konoha's. Compared to Konoha's educated and non-disciplined training, Sunagakure's training of civilian ninjas is more like a cannon fodder crash course. The real elite education is further training after graduation. If this is the case, if there is an unfavorable situation in the Chunin examination, the problem will not fall on you, Kazekage-sama. What's more, Sunagakure is not Konoha. No matter how you cultivate these children of civilian background, they will serve various families. The Chunin examination is a hot potato. If it is not handled well, it will cause a chain reaction. Maki's words made Alyosha fall into deep thought. In fact, he also knew that asking Shiraishi to go to the Chunin examination would inevitably be rejected, and Rasa had no hope for this Chunin examination. It would be better if the elders and Shiraishi took the blame for the failure. The results of the joint Chunin examination are related to Sunagakure's face. Now Sunagakure must support the 5 major ninja villages. Otherwise, they would not be able to sustain such a high cost of the ninja world war. The daimyo of the land of wind are beginning to consider the strategy of reducing armaments and elitizing ninjas. At that time, a large number of tasks in Sunagakure village will be assigned to Konoha. There is now more than a month left before the joint Chunin exams between Iwagakure and Sunagakure. After consideration, Rasa decided to establish a special jounin position, and Shiraishi became the first special jounin in the history of Sunagakure. The appointment letter regarding Shiraishi will be issued soon. Let him, the principal's assistant and special jounin, be responsible for matters related to the Chunin exam. In the Oasis Ring area, when Shiraishi stepped out of the warehouse, Ibizo and Chiyo's expressions were very complicated. The unique hexagonal mirror device was suspended quietly behind Shiraishi, motionless, but so shocking. Without saying a word, Chiyo and Ibizo each performed their ninjutsu, and the energy of fire and water suddenly burst out, directly attacking the 6-sided mirror puppet in front of them. Sensing the chakra energy, the entire mirror reacted instantly. As a large number of values emerged, the 6-sided mirror rotated at high speed, and instantly resolved the attribute offensive of the 2 old men. Immediately afterwards, the Fiu mirror automatically turned on the second stage of protection mode. The 6 mirrors shot out in all directions at the same time, forming a unique induced magnetic field. At the same time, dozens of chakra lines shot out from the core area, turning into a continuous attack mode. That's enough, let's end it. Ibizo had a very complicated expression after ending the battle. This defense and detection method is indeed correct. It is Teacher Shaman's exclusive auxiliary puppet, Feiyujing, the secret art of puppet Feiyujing. As the 2nd generation Kazekage Samana's special secret magic puppet, it has powerful sensory detection capabilities. Any magic technique can quickly analyze the chakra attributes and basic ability values under the 6 mirrors of the Feiyujing. Although compared to ordinary puppets, Feiyujing has no offensive power, but it is excellent in terms of comprehensive assistance, because it can assist Shiraishi in strengthening the constant control of chakra lines over other puppets. The existence of this kind of auxiliary props can enhance the overall ability of the puppet master. Generally speaking, the ordinary Sunagakure Mirakin level puppet master usually controls a number of puppets in 2 to 3. The existence of the Feiyujing allows the puppet master to control the number. Nowadays, the line of Sunagakure puppet masters has withered away, and most of the puppet masters have mediocre qualifications. When Chiyo saw the reappearance of the hidden mirror again, she was inevitably a little excited and couldn't help crying. At the same time, the Fiu mirror has a certain degree of defense. These 6 mirrors are made of special materials and can effectively protect the puppet master during the Great Ninja War. Shaman had a large number of Fei mirrors around him to assist in projecting chakra lines, allowing him to control a large number of puppets at the same time to carry out legion operations, becoming a powerful being who could destroy an entire army with one person. At the end of the First World War, Sunagakure village was attacked by enemies. When Salmon came out to fight, he encountered a Shukaku who went berserk. A large number of Fei mirrors were destroyed, and he himself died of serious injuries. After repelling the enemy as his disciples, Chiyo and Ibizo recovered the remaining materials of the Scholar mirror, but they have been trying to assemble it again, but to no avail. The design sketches and related materials of Feiyujing were destroyed and burned due to the impact of the battle. The 2 of them could only recycle the materials and fragments left on site and various components and store them in the warehouse. After so many years, I didn't expect to be assembled by Shiraishi again. When I touch these components, it seems like there is a force guiding me on how to put them together. Shiraishi was able to assemble this device entirely by scanning his glasses to obtain basic information, and then analyzed and compared them one by one. Tested, adjusted, and assembled successfully. However, since the glasses could not be exposed, he could only use such rhetoric to deceive. Touching the components will lead to special energy guidance. The subtext means that the second generation Kazekage's spirit in the sky blessed Shiraishi and successfully assembled the fairy mirror. Just when Shiraishi thought the two old men would be suspicious, he found that they accepted it unexpectedly calmly. In their hearts, only if the second generation Kazekage recognized Shiraishi, the situation of Fei Yujing's reappearance would occur, so they accepted Shiraishi's statement instead. In fact, Shiraishi was also very nervous. He had no idea what the symbolic meaning of the hidden mirror represented. However, if Ebizo and Chiyo accepted it, it would be even harder for him to shake his position in Sunagakure in the future. There is nothing more tangible than the support of the previous Kazekage heroes, with two elders confirming that he has been recognized by the previous Kazekage. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Then Shiraishi's position in Sunagakure village will be more stable in the future. Immediately afterwards, Shiraishi led the two elders into the warehouse, burned the sketch of the fairy mirror assembly he made on a scroll, and handed it to Chiyo. Opening the scroll and comparing the internal structure of the fairy Yujing. The two elders checked for a long time and finally clicked, confirming that there was nothing wrong with Shiraishi's sketch. Especially Chiyo. His eyes almost glowed when he looked at Shiraishi's fairy Yujing. If his secret puppet technique cooperates with Fei Yujing, the power will be multiplied several times, and the fighting power of the 10 people will become even more powerful. This set of equipment is quite difficult to manufacture. At least the 6 mirrors are made of extremely expensive materials. They no longer exist in the country of wind, and they are also available on the market at no price. Sister, you promised him. Ibizo noticed Chiyo's thoughts and stepped forward to knock on his sister. The latter was very dissatisfied with his younger brother's reaction, but since the words were spoken, there was no need to regret it. Well, the remaining materials left here should be enough to assemble one. Shiraishi was also a little helpless towards these two old men. They only focused on checking the Fei Yujing device, but did not pay attention to the materials and components they used. Although the shaman units were severely destroyed at the beginning, there was still no problem in piecing together 2 units. In less than a moment, Shiraishi and Ibizo were driven out of the warehouse by Chiyo, while Chiyo took the sketches and assembled them bit by bit. At the same time, the appointment of Kazekage's office was also delivered, and Shiraishi would become the first special jounin in the history of Sunagakure. P.S. I finally got everything done today. I'll save and post the last chapter first. I'll start updating the code as normal tomorrow. I'd like to ask for recommendations and support in the new week. The success of the new book depends on everyone's support. Chapter 57, Black Mist and White Stone. The news of the birth of the first special jounin in Sunagakure village spread throughout the major ninja villages, and Shiraishi's name once again landed on the desks of the kage in each village. In fact, apart from Konoha, Iwagakure is the only ninja with special jounin structure. After all, the number of Iwagakure ninjas is huge, and it is still very laborious for ordinary jounin to manage, so the unique existence of special jounin is needed. Shiraishi is 16 years old this year. It is not unusual for him to serve as a special jounin at this age. Compared with Kakashi, the genius boy in Konoha, he has also been promoted to a jounin. Black Mist and White Stone. This is Shiraishi's current nickname. The reason is that during the Battle of Mount Kikayo, Shiraishi released special interference black mist energy on the battlefield, which caused a certain impact on the perception system that Konoha is proud of. After this battle, every village conducted research and investigation on the black mist technique. The principle of the black mist technique is not complicated. Shirogakiji, who is also from the top 5 villages and has rich experience in this field, is also working on developing a similar technique. Although it is unclear how the progresses, Shiraishi's reputation as a young genius was also confirmed through the Battle of Mount Kikayo. After taking off his original Chunin badge and putting on his forehead protector and garb, Shiraishi looked at himself in the mirror and took a deep breath. Regarding his new work arrangement, it has been jointly announced by the Kazekage office and the Council of Elders, giving Shiraishi full authority to handle the selection of genin in the ninja school and the participation in the Chunin exam. Shiraishi was not very resistant to this job. First of all, he was also a ninja with a civilian background. Instinctively, he was more concerned and empathetic to this group of juniors, and juniors Iwagakure's Chunin exam was like a butcher's knife on Sunagakure's neck. Iwagakure used this exam to test Sunagakure's background, and at the same time, he was looking for an excuse to start a war. But for this group of newcomers who already have difficulty graduating, isn't this an opportunity to change their own destiny? Have you heard that Senior Shiraishi is now in charge of the new Genin graduation assessment teacher, and he will be responsible for the Genin graduation and Chunin examination assessment from Genin to Chunin. This made the civilian-born ninja children and the school excited. If there had not been this joint examination by Iwagakure, Sunagakure was afraid that sending the village's main training Genin would be plotted by Iwagakure, so he had such a high graduation rate point. A ninja, even a Genin, will bring about earth-shaking changes to the family. In addition, there will be another Chunin exam in a month, which is equivalent to skipping 2 levels in a row. Such a good thing makes these children eager to try point at the same time. In the principal's office, several ninja school teachers looked at Shiraishi, who was sorting documents on his desk with complicated expressions more than a year ago. This child was just a student who had not graduated, but now he has become the favorite of the elders and the strongest being in the new generation of Sunagakure. Such a change made several teachers feel a little dazed for a moment. The wind blew gently on the window. Shiraishi was sorting out the information of more than 500 students. According to the information, the main source of students for Sunagakure's ninja school is now much higher than that of his time. Recruiting so many civilian students, it is nothing more than insufficient conventional reserve strength. However, the daimyo of the Land of Wind has always advocated elite management, and they just don't want to spend money to raise so many ninjas. Under such circumstances, Rasa is still using this ninja war to forcefully absorb so many students. Shiraishi has to admire Sunagakure's determination. Of course, in addition to this similar public-run Sunagakure ninja school, due to the tension of the war, Sunagakure also established an elite school. Most of the family children in this school were originally transferred. Public and private schools are separated, so Alyosha will completely hand over the management of the school to the elders, because the core strength he relies on has been transferred to another elite school, and is managed by a ninja born in the Shadun Sanmei family. This kind of separation makes Shiraishi feel much more relaxed and simple. Although it is unclear what the fate of this school will be in the future, at least for now they still have a chance to become ninjas and get rid of the constraints of fate. Judging from the results of the chakra attribute test, more than 400 people have a single wind attribute. There are other fire, water, earth, and thunder attributes, but they are all single. There is no composite attribute. Even if there are estimates, they will have been transferred out of graduation early. According to the traditional concept of the ninja world, these students have mediocre qualifications, and the amount of chakra extracted is also very weak. However, Shiraishi has a different view. He needs a more practical and accurate judgment. Conduct a one-on-one basic test first. The so-called basic test includes the use of ninja tools, the use of the 3-body technique, and the assessment of basic theoretical knowledge. In order to avoid any mistakes, Shiraishi decided to observe everyone's assessment point at the huge Iwagakure training ground. Shiraishi brought a thick record book and checked one by one according to the name and number. Several teachers from the ninja school also helped organize this group of students to come for the assessment. First place, Nagase Bizun. Nagase Bizun is a descendant of a down-and-out samurai family. His chakra attribute is wind. He is very poor at using the 3-body arts, but he is extremely good at physical skills and can draw swords very quickly. Reading www.ukanshu.net. After a simple introduction of information, Shiraishi had a basic understanding of Nagase. A handsome young man wearing a white samurai uniform walked out with a long sword hanging on his waist. Although the sword was not out of its sheath, Shiraishi could feel it. This knife is unusual. There was no difference in the test results and evaluation of the 3-body technique. Except for the substitution technique, Nagase Bizun was unable to accurately perform the seal formation technique and the transformation technique. Shiraishi was silent for a while. Let me see your technique. Sword skills. The sword drawing technique is a means of killing. I don't want to offend the teacher. Nagase's first words made the surrounding students laugh. This rigid guy was like an antique in his 40s or 50s who still clung to the same set of martial arts. No problem, come on. While Shiraishi was taking assessments at the ninja school in the Oasis Ring area of Sunagakure village, the elite ninja school established by Kazekage Rasa himself also officially started preparations for the construction project point. In addition to the Third Kazekage, the senior officials of all families in Sunagakure, including the Yamaji family and the Iroquois family, were notified of the opening ceremony time and were all invited to participate. Many important figures in the ninja family are very happy because from now on, their children will no longer need to mix with those idiots and will have their own private school. The Iroquois family even prepares a national library pass for every student. The pass that Shiraishi could not exchange for with a single ninjutsu has become a basic resource for every student here. Yamaji Tachibana and Iroquois Akita serve as the principal and vice principal respectively, while Yamaji Ryoko and Iroquois Meru are the people responsible for the specific work of the school. P.S. There will be another update at noon tomorrow. Please recommend. Black Mist and White Stone is actually a nickname, just like Sandstorm and Gaara. Chapter 58, Ryoharu Moromoto. Although it seemed that Shiraishi was not much older than him, after Nagase hesitated for a moment, he still pulled out the long knife in his hand at an extremely fast speed. The speed of the knife were very fierce, but Shiraishi took a step back, dodged the knife and shook it. Shake his head. Pure physical speed cannot cause any damage. Taijutsu is not completely separated from ninjutsu. Chakra mobilization is still needed. Nagase's problem was that he placed too much emphasis on the sword in his hand and neglected basic chakra training. Due to a certain deviation in his understanding of the application of the technique, this descendant of a down-and-out samurai family only focused on practicing swordsmanship. But no problem. Just study hard for the next training. After Shiraishi gave Nagase a brief assessment, he began to examine the next student. Among the three techniques, substitution technique is used properly, which shows that Nagase Bizun pays more attention to things that are useful to him. The assessment of more than 500 people could not be completed in one day, so Shiraishi prepared 3 days for screening. In fact, it is not that these students have poor or mediocre qualifications, but that they do not have a good environment to develop. After all, Sunagakure pursues an elite education. Generally, ninjas without family inheritance will learn limited content in ninja schools and will not be able to perform at all. Real potential. If we switch to Konoha's education model, we might be able to select truly outstanding civilian ninjas, unlike Sunagakure, who just shakes the hourglass and the selection is complete. What's more, in the future, Sunagakure will focus entirely on the elite ninja school. No one knows the fate of this public school. The previous Nagase, although his 3 body skills were poor, his chakra extraction was insufficient, and he only focused on pure taijutsu. That was because the teachers in the school did not go out of their way to correct these, or even care. It is very common for teachers in ninja schools to be in charge of 3 or 4 classes. Since the number of students is huge, their basic attention is on students with good backgrounds. It is difficult for them to pay attention to students like Nagase. Unless they are particularly diligent and studious students like Shiraishi or Juan Zaomo, it is difficult for the school to take them seriously. This is also the biggest difference between Sunagakure and Konoha. Konoha relies on the popularization of educational resources in ninja schools and promotes outstanding civilian ninjas on a large scale, so that the traditional ninja family's voice is gradually lost, which is conducive to the development of the entire village. But as for Sunagakure, the conservative forces are still very large, and the existence of the Sandan 3 lineage family has almost severely restricted the development of Sunagakure. After the establishment of the elite ninja school, 2/3 of most of the teachers in the school will be transferred. The remaining 1/3 of the teachers will be very difficult to support the entire public school. Shiraishi is different from Ibizo Chiyo. He attaches great importance to this school. If there was no public ninja school, he would not be able to become a ninja among ordinary people like Sunagakure. In addition to Nagase, Shiraishi also discovered many students with good potential. Although they were also weak in the 3-body technique, or had insufficient chakra extraction, Their other qualities, including theoretical knowledge and on-the-spot combat reactions, were extremely good, and many with some tricks and routines. You might be able to enhance your survival probability on the battlefield. Ryoji Morimoto. Following Beishi's words, many people were talking around him. Soon, under the fearful eyes of many people, a dark-skinned young man walked out coldly and stood in front of Beishi. For a moment, Beishi felt a different feeling. His eyes were extremely indifferent, as if everything around him had nothing to do with him, but the bandages and bloodstains all over his body symbolized the young man's hard work and effort in his daily practice. Then, let's start with the 3-body technique, and then start throwing ninja tools. In terms of the 3-body skills assessment, Morimoto Ryoharu performed extremely well. In terms of throwing ninja tools, Morimoto Ryoharu, like most students, achieved basic throwing accuracy. It is obvious that these civilian ninjas are still very serious in their training. In terms of physical skills, Morimoto Ryoji was holding a black giant sword. During the violent dance, the surrounding airflow continued to roll. It was obvious that the burst of energy on his body made Shiraishi more and more confused. Logically speaking, this young man should not. His father's whereabouts were unknown during a mission a few years ago. He may have rebelled against the village. A teacher from the ninja school stepped forward and gently told Shiraishi about Morimoto Ryoji. In the past, due to his family background, he might not be destined to graduate and become a Sunagakure ninja. Have you confirmed whether you have rebelled against the village? Not yet, because that mission is a bit weird, and the relevant personnel have been given a hush-hush warning. The teacher in the school seemed to be worried about something, so he did not clearly explain the reason, but looking at his eyes and reaction, Shiraishi knew very well that the matter of Ryoji Morimoto's father might not be that simple. Very well. Next one, Shiraishi made a very high rating on Morimoto Ryoji's scoring form, and then continued with the next round of assessment. Since Shiraishi didn't say anything from beginning to end, when Morimoto Ryoji left, there was an imperceptible darkness in his eyes. Ryoji Morimoto had expected their reactions to the interview between the examiner and several teachers. Over the years, he had become accustomed to the strange looks from around him, and the son of a rebellious ninja had almost grown up with him. But Morimoto Ryoharu did not blame others, but practiced harder and harder to improve his strength and get the chance to change his destiny. But this time the person in charge was the talented senior Shiraishi, and Ryoji Morimoto, who had high expectations for him, couldn't help but be a little disappointed. In the Oasis Ring area, after Shiraishi finished the first day of assessment, he went to Ibizo to ask about Morimoto Ryoji. Mentioning this incident, Ibizo still remembers. His father Morimoto accidentally discovered that the Yamaji family had occupied a mineral resource in the Kingdom of Wind. After that, the Yamaji family repeatedly advised him not to interfere, but after Morimoto refused, he appeared once the mission was unexpected, and the world disappeared. Ibizo did not hesitate when speaking, but directly told Shiraishi the cause and effect. I also know that his talent is outstanding, but if he really graduates as a genin, it will definitely arouse the resentment of the Yamaji family. The influence of Shadun's 3 branches must be taken into consideration by even the elders, but Beishi didn't care at all. It's enough to report this matter to the Shanlu family, right? The notification is already a sign of respect for the big family. As for the other Yamaji families who are not qualified to participate in the selection of this joint Chunin exam, this is the overall situation. As the clan leader, Yamaji Tachibana will naturally understand. You, kid, are you planning to borrow our name again? Just borrow it. Reading www.ukanshu.net for the sake of the overall situation of Sunagakure, Yamaji Jukesen should also make some concessions. Isn't it enough that that child has been carrying the so-called infamy of being the son of a sinner for so many years? After finalizing the situation of Morimoto Ryoji, Shiraishi continued the assessment in the next 2 days. A large number of newcomers showed their abilities one by one. Just when Shiraishi was about to end the assessment, a soft voice sounded. Teacher, it should be my turn. With her unique and soft voice, it seemed that the moment the girl appeared, all the light in the world was focused on her. It turned out to be her. The literary giant appeared. In Addition, there is also a 2-meter long giant tamarind that is particularly eye-catching. It belongs to the ox-headed moon tamarind with thorns on both ends. This ox-headed moon hammer hit the ground, shaking it. Compared with the girl's small and thin body, it suddenly gives people an unreal feeling. PS. Please recommend me. Please recommend me. The katama spear of the ancient Japanese samurai is a branch weapon of the Minotaur. Search to see the fastest updated books. Chapter 59. Hishinome. In the Sunagakure examination room, a giant ox-headed moon came down. A petite girl held it gently and swung it gently, causing a strong airflow to compress it. Literary man. Mentioning the girl in front of him, the teacher beside him had a headache and introduced, she is a writer who likes to create. In order to write a satisfactory work, she once retreated for a month and did not even take the exam. Otherwise, she would have graduated long ago. A girl with a strong personality. Although she was born as a commoner, she has special creative talents. With the giant bull-headed moon gun in her hand that contrasts with her cuteness, she almost becomes the focus of the audience. The girl in front of her has a pair of clear eyes that penetrate people's hearts. Her overall clothing is not very luxurious. There is a string of pearls hanging from her neck, which emits a faint halo and makes her look like a pink jade. Hoshino May. I have met senior Shiraishi. Beishi nodded silently. The assessment will begin next. You should show your strength first. Hoshino May is very famous in Sunagakure village, not only because of her excellent potential and strength, but also because her works are so awesome. Even works such as the popular Friend's Paradise cannot be compared with the juvenile works in terms of taste. It is known as the dark transformation genre. Many scenes in it are described as being too heavy to bear. Although this kind of books is banned in Sunagakure village, it is a big hit in other countries. It is also a manifestation of an alternative culture exported by Sunagakure to other villages. At the beginning of the assessment, Hoshinome's whole body aura surged. She held the Neo-Tao Yu-Tao in her hand, and Shiraishi was keenly aware of the strong fighting spirit in the girl. A 2-meter long giant bull-headed moon was quickly grasped by her, and it erupted with powerful vibrations. The surrounding air seemed to be torn apart, like a wild beast roaring, turning into a terrifying air vortex. The whole bullhead is in the shape of a 3-pronged fork. In the middle of the core is a sharp blade, shaped like the tip of a sword. There are 2 wings underneath the knife, curved like horns, about 1 foot or 2 inches apart. The wings are prismatic and straight-end on all sides for sharpness. The dance and control of this weapon are very particular. Compared with the ordinary bullhead moon, Hoshinome's weapon is larger. Generally speaking, it is not suitable for girls to control. However, there is no violation on Hoshinome. A sense of harmony. The powerful airflow that burst out indicated the ferocity of Hoshino. She smiled mischievously, and in an instant, the wings of the Minotaur moon flew out, directly attacking Shiraishi's direction. Senior examiner, be careful. Faced with the provocation, Shiraishi did not move or evade at all. With a flick of the silver knife in his hand, he skillfully opened up the 2-wing attack. Miyotao quickly transformed into a giant spear, and Hoshinome transformed into a wind blade. The torrent came. The weapon form of the Minotaur can be changed. After the wings fly out, the Minotaur in front of the eyes turns into a spear. During the flash of silver light, Hoshinome launches a second round of attack on Shiraishi. The destructive force like an explosion came straight at him. The silver knife in Shiraishi's hand cleverly blocked it. Suddenly, countless whirlwind knives produced powerful whirlpool blades from the inside out, which mixed with the charging energy of the giant gun. The huge storm that was generated spread from all directions. When Hoshinome's spear was knocked away by the silver knife, only the 2 wings on the ground were seen. The moment the girl held them and spread them open, they turned into 2 double scimitars, combined ninja weapons. As the 2 swords danced rapidly, a burst of air and sand was generated under Shiraishi's feet. During the fight with Hoshinome, he finally found out the bottom line of the girl's strength. The whirlwind knife was quickly projected on Shiraishi's hand. After defeating the 2 scimitars, Shiraishi ended the offensive. The next step is the 3-body skills test. Hoshinome's fighting ability is very strong. At least her strength is 3 points stronger than King Kong Barber's Kitajima. It stands to reason that her practice will be wasted a lot if she indulges in creation all day long, so Shiraishi is looking forward to her after practice point. In addition to Hashinomi, Morimoto, Ryoharu and Nagase Bizan are also excellent reserve candidates, and the fighting styles of the three can also complement each other. Point with the completion of Hashinomi's various assessments, the 3-day assessment on behalf of the public ninja school has finally come to an end. Shiraishi also learned from Ibizo that Sunagakure's elite school had a grand opening ceremony. The school is built in an oasis area with the best environment. The teaching staff is not only strong, but also includes members of the elders. The 4th generation Kazekage Lyosha regularly arranges some courses there. Compared with the public schools in Shiraishi in terms of the curriculum and resources invested, it is a matter of judgment. In fact, the daimyo of the Land of Wind here was more active in promoting this matter. The daimyo of the Land of Wind is in favor of the establishment of an elite school. For him, it is best for Sand Hidden Village to be completely elite, so that he will not have to bear such heavy military expenses in the future. At Ibizo's house, the elders said while drinking tea. What about Kazekage's attitude? Rosa said that he would reduce enrollment in math and science, but he cannot directly close public schools. This kid at least knows that he is the Kazekage and cannot be led by that stupid daimyo. Although Lyosha strongly supports elite schools, it does not mean that he will completely close the door to public schools. Compared with the situation of carnivorous daimyo like the Land of Wind, Lyosha still has to worry about many things. If all elite education is dominated by ninja families, then history will be reversed. In the end, all the say in the village will be in the hands of each family. Properly cultivating certain civilian ninjas. Reading www.ukanshu.net will be more conducive to Sunagakure's rule. Of course, since Rasha himself is the product of a compromise between the Sunagakure family and the elder group, he must rely on each family in these matters, so being able to avoid closing the school is his limit. Among this group of students, do you think 90 genin places are enough? According to the current evaluation, at least 200 people are qualified to become genin and become Sunagakure's effective forces. Shiraishi's judgment made Ibizo's eyes light up. Are you sure? Before this joint Chunin exam, it was the best opportunity to expand the base of civilian ninjas. Hearing Shiraishi's judgment, Ibizo suddenly realized that there was only one chance left. Recalling the performance of these children and the assessment, Shiraishi said with certainty, what they lack is an opportunity. Very well, leave this matter to me. Now that Shiraishi had this basis for judgment, Ibizo immediately got up to find Chiyo to discuss some matters. Ibizo actively sought out Chiyo and many elders to discuss the matter, and soon a corresponding report was placed on Ratsu's copywriting. In the Yamaji family, Yamaji Tachibana opened her eyes with great difficulty and picked up the official document of the elders in front of her. The main records in it were about the mediation letter of Morimoto Ryoharu on behalf of the elders. The old lady squinted her eyes and struggled to read it. She originally wanted to pick up a pen. She wrote, but soon she fell asleep again and lost consciousness. Mother, let me handle these trivial matters. Yamaji. Ryoko, who was concerned about her mother's condition, casually glanced at the mediation letter about Morimoto Ryoharu, and then her face became angry. Does this son of a sinner deserve the forgiveness of our Yamaji family? P.S. I just got home and just finished coding a chapter. I stayed up late at night coding another chapter, and then I will post it at noon tomorrow after finishing it. Chapter 60, Begging. In Feng Ying's office, Lyosha was very troubled by the feedback from the elders. The opening of more than 300 genin places was unacceptable to Ratsu at first, but the elders linked this matter to the joint Chunin exams and the preparations for the elite school. After some discussions and negotiations, as the Kazekage Lyosha had to compromise and agree to the matter, the more than 200 places Shiraishi proposed at the beginning directly became 300 under Ibizo's operation. However, the number of ninjas graduating from public schools in the next class will be limited to 50 places. The newly established elite ninja school has no limit on the number of graduates in each class. This sort is the result of a compromise between the two parties in Ibizo's view. Being able to maintain 50 graduation quotas for each subsequent class is an extremely good result, at least on the premise that 300 genin quotas will be taken away this time point. Although these genin are very weak now, they will be new blood that will be beneficial to the elders in the future. After all, these children can become ninjas, but they rely on the cultivation of this public school. Alyosha naturally knew the plans of the elders, but as Feng Ying, he himself could not be too inclined to one party. Appropriate compensation to the elders was also a process of negotiation and compromise between the two parties. The group of elders is very difficult to deal with, especially when the two immortals Chiyo and Ibizo are still alive. Rasa must continue to deal with them, but this does not mean that he will completely destroy the public ninja school. From the bottom of his heart, for the sake of Kazekage's rule, Rasa wanted to establish Konoha's educational model more than anyone else, and use these civilian-born ninjas to break the family monopoly, which was the envy of other villages. The cruel reality is that the elders of Sunagakure have become the representatives and hopes of civilian ninjas, while he is the representative of elite family ninjas. With the establishment of this school, this label has been impossible for him to get rid of for almost a long time. And Shiraishi has become one of the main leaders of this public school, which will become a favorable foundation for him to compete for the throne of the next generation of Kazekage in the future. Rasa knew all this in his heart. Ibizo's timing was so good that he had to agree to it. He could only wait for the joint jounin exams before he could continue to compete with the elders. There was just one thing that Alyosha was still worried about. Yamaji Juxin's health is getting worse and worse, and I'm afraid she doesn't have much time left to live. The future head of the Yamaji family will be Yamaji Riko. During the Battle of Kakayo Mountain, Yamaji Juxin actually suffered from an old injury. Although he and Ibizo survived until the end of the war, the leader of the Yamaji family actually did not have much life left to live. Therefore, the future of the Shanlu family rests on Shanlu Lingzi, and even involves the entire Shadun 3 lines for this distant relative. Alyosha rejected the existence of such a pig teammate in her heart, but after she became the actual controller of the Shanlu family, she had to cooperate with her. Which was also the sadness of Shadun Sanmei. The eldest son of the Iroquois family, Iroquois Meru, is also his new disciple. From the current point of view, he is not a qualified family leader. This makes Rasa feel a sense of crisis, because Shiraishi's existence is a bit dazzling. While meditating on these things, Rasa's wife Galulu knocked on the door. Girulo, you're here. Seeing his wife enter the house, Alyosha's face became very soft, and he still loved his wife very much. Drink some hot tea first, you've worked too hard. The door opened, and Alyosha's wife, Galuo, handed a cup of hot tea to her husband very gently. Are you still having these headaches? The Kazekage is probably the most difficult one among the 5 great ninja villages. I feel that it is more difficult for Konoha's Hokage to be the Hokage. They are surrounded by enemies on all sides, and have to consider the interests of all parties at every step. Famous families such as the Uchiha family and the Hyuga family are more powerful and domineering than the 3 Sand Escapes. His wife's forgiveness did not help Alyosha at all, but as a Kazekage, he gently stepped forward and hugged his wife. Girulo, do you really still want to give birth to a child for me? The appearance of teammates such as Yamaji Tachibana and Iroquois Meru deeply irritated Rasa. At this moment, he suddenly understood and decided to have more children with Giruo and plan for the next generation. Kindness. Just when the two were about to continue, the office door rang again, disrupting their rhythm. When they saw the young man Shiraishi outside the door, Giruo walked out of the office with a blush on his face, leaving the young man outside the door confused state. Ahem. What do you want from me? It's about the school's fund allocation. Shiraishi quickly returned to normal and handed some information and reports on the salary arrears of several teachers to Feng Ying. The senior management of Sunagakure were passing the blame on each other regarding this matter. When Shiraishi could not solve the problem, he went directly into Rasa's office to ask for an explanation. Sunagakure has been in arrears with the salary of some of the remaining teachers for several months. In fact, these people stay in this school, often more for their own educational philosophy. Most of these left behind teachers are from civilian backgrounds, so they are more sympathetic to the situation of students in the school point. But Shiraishi had to fight for their salary, which was not paid for several months, which made their lives extremely difficult. They can go out to take on missions, or go to Platikadon Mountain to help defend, in exchange for a certain amount of reward. After all, it's a war now. Luo. Sha was not in a good mood and spoke a little faster. This kind of bureaucratic behavior of the Kazekage suddenly made Shiraishi push up his glasses. He nodded with a very stable mood, but was too lazy to continue communicating with the Kazekage, and turned around to leave point. When he walked out of Kazekage's office, Shiraishi felt heavy, because Ratsu's attitude represented the basic attitude of Sunagakure's current senior management, who did not care about the life or death of public schools, and allowed them to decline. He is the Kazekage. Don't you have a sense of the overall situation? The family forces and civilian forces should at least maintain a certain balance, instead of blindly annihilating each other, right? Shiraishi didn't understand politics, but the learning and the memory fragments made him understand a lot. At the same time, he was disappointed with Kazekage, and began to look for other ways to extend the life of this school. You going to the Kingdom of Wind's administrative office? The city where the leader of the Kingdom of Wind has his seat is another oasis city not far from Sunagakure village. Compared to Sunagakure village, which has slightly harsher geographical conditions, the Kingdom of Wind governance is a place where businesses gather, so it is more prosperous. Generally, Sunagakure ninjas rarely go to the jurisdiction area except for missions, but Shiraishi is now short of money and has to go to the jurisdiction area to look for opportunities that can be exploited in exchange for financial support. It's not just about salary. I also need to do ground renovations and facility improvements, which all cost money. The public school, in fact, has entered an extremely difficult stage so far, and Shiraishi must find ways to solve these problems. Chapter 61. Secrets of the Human Body. The fact that Shiraishi went to the Kingdom of Wind's administrative office was extremely low-key, because even within the Kingdom of Wind, this place is no better than Sunagakure village. Although the city in front of him is very prosperous, it is also more mixed point as the economic core area of the Kingdom of Wind. Merchants from all over the country carry out trade with the Kingdom of Wind here. In order to prepare funds, even Fengying Luosha will send people to trade here. Compared with the bloody and fierce conflicts between various villages during the Great Ninja War, regular trade between various countries has not been interrupted. Many wealthy businessmen from the Land of Fire have also gathered here to conduct trade with Sunagakure. When Shiraishi arrived here, he didn't just search blindly, but chose local forces. Before Shiraishi arrived here, he found a suitable partner, the Kitajima family, a domestic trading family of the Wind. The Beideo family is one of the largest business families in the Kingdom of Wind. It mainly operates various underground auction houses and black market trade. Compared with other blood successor families in Sunagakure village, the Beideo family is a purer business family. In the past, Shiraishi's deceased senior was named Kitajima Yerito, and he and King Kong Barbie Kitajima Shuto were from the same Kitajima family. Since King Kong Barbie's Kitajima Shuto returned to the family, he began to mainly run various business activities in a private room in the government office of the Wind Country. Beideo was dressed even more exaggeratedly than he was at the Battle of Platikadon Mountain. He wore heavy makeup and various seductive moves, attracting many people's attention along the way. Seeing Beishi appear, Beideo Shuren was very happy and almost rushed to kiss Beishi. However, due to the frightening effect of Beishi's silver knife, Beideo Shuren finally sat down opposite Beishi honestly. So, Captain, do you also plan to engage in investment and trade? Well, I would like to carry out some special fruit development cooperation projects with you. Fruit development cooperation. After Shiraishi handed some seed samples to Beideo, Beideo Shuren showed a soft and charming smile. If it is really as magical as the captain said, then our family is willing to invest, but now the captain is here to talk about this matter. The purpose of Shiraishi's appearance is clearly understood by Kitajima Shuren. In fact, the entire Kitajima family has also held some internal discussions regarding one of the two largest forces in Sunagakure village. Neither side of the Kitajima family wants to offend. If you come to the door, the Bideo family is also willing to provide some financial help. This may be the business habits of the Bideo family, but unexpectedly, as soon as they met, Shiraishi would disrupt Bideo's rhythm with the development of the tree fruit project. Since part of the Bideo family's business is related to spices and desert ecological environment construction, the tree fruit project it still attracted the attention of the North Island tree people. Mentioning his true purpose, Shiraishi took out 3 scrolls and placed them in front of Bideo Shuren. These 3 secret techniques of the human body are what I entrust you to auction in the underground auction this time. Bideo's eyes kept rolling when he mentioned the secret technique of the human body. When he opened the introduction to the first technique in the information, his whole mouth opened wide. Human body secret technique, milk technique. Looking at the name of the first scroll, Bideo Shuren had an unreal feeling. Can it be said that, Captain, you have successfully developed this technique during the battle with Tsunade at Platicadon Mountain? The milk drinking technique Shiraishi mentioned was a powerful human body transformation technique that Bideo had dreamed of in the past. Unexpectedly, it was actually developed by the captain this time. This made the tree man boss Bideo very excited. I bought this technique. I would rather provide it to the daimyo. Using these human body modification techniques to gain access to famous names is Shiraishi's main goal. As for the Bideo Shuren, Shiraishi is prepared to sell this former companion at another price point. In addition to this move, the other 2 secret techniques of the human body are the cry technique and the charm technique, which are not very serious secret techniques of the human body. During the battle at Platicadon Mountain, Shiraishi obtained 5 skill cards. In addition to the curse, he also obtained the 2 extremely useless human secrets of cry and charm. Rather than sealing them up and wasting them, Shiraishi decided to give them to the Katajima family to sell them. The cry technique is a technique that enhances the sound. It can make the opponent hear cute sounds, distract attention and make them ignore it, thus reducing the opponent's attack. Charm spell is a means to fascinate the opponent. It will be difficult for the opponent to use truly powerful moves, and he will be unable to move forward or retreat without hesitation. The combination of the 2 techniques and drinking milk is an excellent boudoir method for the daimyo of the Land of Wind, which can effectively enhance the chances of the daimyo of the Land of Wind getting along harmoniously with their wives. Bideo naturally understood Shiraishi's intention in offering these 3 techniques and smiled with squinted eyes. Don't worry, in the next period of time, I promise to make these 3 secret techniques popular in the country of the wind. Although shout and charming are essentially 2 very good secret skills, Shiraishi was a bit resistant to learning these 2 skills. At that time, among the remaining 4 skill cards, except for the 2 high-level attribute skills, these 2 although skills can be learned immediately, Shiraishi is still unwilling to waste energy on learning these things. After receiving a certain amount of financial support from Bideo, Shiraishi quickly ended his trip to the Wind Country administration. After all, the Chunin joint examination was imminent, and Shiraishi must speed up the process. To complete the selection of these genin. Ibizo secured more than 300 places for himself, so as soon as Shiraishi returned to Sunagakure village, he distributed the funds as a temporary 2-month salary as a teacher, and then used the remaining funds to purchase a large number of training tools. 500 people were divided into 10 classes according to their abilities. Among them, Morimoto Raiji, Nagase Bizun, and Hashinome were placed in a large class at this stage. In addition to basic chakra training and telekinesis training, this group of children spend all the remaining time improving their physical skills. A genin does not need any fancy ninjutsu or illusions. It only needs a strong enough physical fighting ability. That is the most important point in view of the characteristics of this group of genin. Shiraishi brought them the high-speed early stage training method, that is, the load-bearing mode. Reading www.ukanshu.net. These load-bearing devices constituted the bulk of Shiraishi's expenses, almost costing most of Shiraishi's funds. Compared with telekinesis, you need to strengthen weight-bearing training now, since telekinesis was handed over to the village. This technique has become popular among all levels of the ninja community. However, the number of ninjas who truly use telekinesis seriously is extremely limited. Although most Sunagakure ninjas understand the value of this technique, their practice is too complicated. generally master the basic mind power, and then end the practice point. Even so, telekinesis has become synonymous with high status. After many children obtained the basic telekinesis practice methods from Shiraishi, they gave up other daily training and devoted themselves to the practice of telekinesis. This is not right. Shiraishi's original intention was to use telekinesis to strengthen the children's understanding of illusions, as well as chakra extraction and concentration, but now they are putting the cart before the horse. Under the huge weight, several children's bodies felt strong and unsuitable. Among them, the three of them, Hashino-mei, who had excellent physical skills, were specially strengthened by Shiraishi, and were 3 times the weight of ordinary children. It's really heavy. On the desk of the daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind, 3 scrolls of information on human body secrets were placed in front of the daimyo. What's this? It is a special human body secret technique created by Kurogiri Shiraishi. It is said that he made a promise to Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas, during the Battle of Kakayo Mountain, and specially created the human body secret technique for her. Shiraishi never expected that the Kitajima family would forcefully drag Tsunade into the water in order to vigorously promote this secret technique. Shiraishi might not be able to get rid of the blame for Tsunade's creation of the 3 secret techniques of the human body. Listening to the introduction by his subordinates, the originally weak daimyo from the Kingdom of Wind gradually gained a gleam in his eyes. This child is determined. Let's pay him a fee according to the value of the technique. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62. Practice in Progress. Most of the rewards in Shiraishi's hands were prepaid by the Kitajima family. Soon, the amount of rewards sent by the daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind exceeded Shiraishi's expectations, about 20% more than expected. It seems that the daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind still quite wealthy. In addition to the daimyo, after obtaining Shiraishi's authorization, the Kitajima family began to sell the 3 secret techniques to all classes in the Kingdom of Wind. Later, through layers of relationships, these secret techniques also began to be exposed abroad. The secret technique developed by Kurogist Shiraishi specifically for Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas, suddenly spread throughout the ninja world. Even some of Konoha's top officials noticed this unique secret technique. This jutsu is a very valuable medical ninjutsu. In Konoha village, Orochimaru, who briefly returned to the village to report on the Battle of Mount Kikayo, was in a research room, flipping through the scrolls carefully, and came to a conclusion. At the same time, he also admired the Black Mist Shiraishi, who created this technique, for being able to create it from such a unique angle. This amazing medical ninjutsu. Because this milk is of high value, it can not only treat injuries, but also prolong life and even enhance one's physical strength and various qualities. The Third Hokage now particularly likes the milk made by these secret techniques. It is said that he feels much better all of a sudden. I also agree with Orochimaru. Jiraiya didn't know when he appeared, with a smile that everyone knew. Orochimaru's face turned dark when he smiled. When do I need your approval, you idiot? After scolding Jiraiya for being stupid, Orochimaru floated away, leaving only Jiraiya with a silly smile on his face. Soon the laughter disappeared, leaving only Jiraiya with a helpless face. In short, Kurogiri Shiraishi is now completely famous in the ninja world. Ah, you out of your mind. In the Oasis Ring area, Ibi shouted angrily, how dare you develop such a shameful secret technique? Now that the whole world knows that our genius boy from Sunagakure village has developed this set of secret techniques for the human body, have you considered your future? Once it is linked to the development of this secret technique, it will be an almost devastating blow to Shiraishi's political life. Developing such a low-level secret technique to please the big names and powerful people, how does this make the senior officials of Sunagakure view Shiraishi? The Fourth Kazekage maliciously restricted the funds of the ninja school and forced me to develop this secret technique. The news should have spread widely. Shiraishi didn't care about this matter. Things like reputation are the result of deliberate efforts to create momentum. You, kid, don't be too impulsive sometimes. You have to learn to be patient with many things. If you don't have enough patience, how can you become a qualified ninja? Although the elders are embarrassed, they are still able to suppress public opinion, especially as soon as the development of the secret technique came out. Ibizo released the fourth Kazekage to suppress Shiraishi in the public school, causing him to have to develop this technique to save the school crisis. The previous negative image that was unfavorable to Shiraishi was suddenly reversed by the campaign created by the elders, which vaguely gave Shiraishi a stronger popularity, especially among the common people in the village. Shiraishi's image was very noble. The 16-year-old special jounin Shiraishi is now very sharp. He has developed powerful ninjutsu such as Black Mist technique and telekinesis technique. Coupled with the momentum created by the elder group, Shiraishi has the potential to be the 5th generation Kazekage in the future. This makes Eluo-san has a strong sense of crisis. Because of this, Eluo-sha became increasingly hostile to the elders on various issues, and had closer relationships with various big families. The fundamental reason for developing the secret technique of the human body was under the operation of the elders and the intentional or unintentional cooperation of the Bidao family. After learning about this situation, the major ninja villages were very surprised by Eluo-sha's actions. In order to fight against opponents, they even abandoned ordinary public ninja schools and fully supported elite ninja schools. These behaviors are enough to show that Eluo-sha is not enough to be a qualified shadow. The 4th generation Kazekage who was the instigator has also become a pure politician Kazekage who is selfish, greedy for authority and attacks dissenters. This made Rasa, who had come to see Shiraishi's joke, very angry. He did not expect that such a bad thing would happen to him. At the same time, at the Sunagakure high-level meeting, Ibizo launched an attack on the school's salary and funding issues. Let Eluo-sha be extremely passive. In the ninja school, after 2 weeks of training, most of the genin's taijutsu have grown significantly, especially the 3 of Hashinomi and Shiraishi. At present, Shiraishi has asked the 3 of them to form a team in advance to strengthen the tacit understanding of the 3-person team. Not only the 3 of them, but Shiraishi also started to arrange for matching groups with other strong combinations in the class that had good tacit understanding. If the assignment and team formation are not completed until the eve of the Chunin exam, it will still be detrimental to the next exam. After all, teamwork between them must be strengthened. Since the 3 of Hashinomi are far more powerful than other students, they are almost the best among this group of children, because Shiraishi quickly taught them a commonly used wind escape technique, the whirlwind knife. The whirlwind sword mastered by Shiraishi should be called multiple whirlwind swords, compared with the whirlwind sword that creates a large number of wind blades in one breath. The whirlwind sword they use only condenses one wind blade, and its chakra consumption is far lower than that of the complete version of Shiraishi's version of whirlwind knife. It is a D-level wind escape technique. Gyutazuki Ryu quickly slashed down and turned into a terrifying whirlpool wind blade in midair, heading towards Naga's Bizun and Morimoto Ryu Harubalo. The black sword and the long sword were unsheathed at the same time, creating a similar whirlwind. Reading www.ukanshu.net. During the 3 forces impacting each other, I saw Hashinomi holding the Neo-Tao weapon that was suppressing the 2 of them. The heavy pressure made her feel the feet of the 2 young men must have sunk. Although Hashinomi is a commoner, her strength is far superior to her peers, mainly because it has something to do with a special yak she rescued when she was a child. This cow is a very special psychic beast in the kingdom of wind, with strong wisdom. After being rescued by little Hashinomi, the cow gave a pair of horns to Hashinomi. In order to repay the girl's kindness, the horns donated by Kabuto Niu had special natural energy. After being transformed into the current Niu Tao-yu, Hashinomi unknowingly possessed extremely strong strength and explosive power, and the output of firepower was far better than that of the 2 boys. However, compared to Hashinomi's pure violence, the swarthy boy Morimoto Ryuji has stronger overall strength. He has a very stable comprehensive development in the 3 aspects of Jinjutsu, Taijutsu and Ninjutsu, and his chakra control skills are also very good. The black sword in his hand is a weapon left by his father, allowing him to always remember his father's past teachings and guidance. As for Naga's Bizun, he is extremely fast, and the long sword in his hand can dance a large number of sword flowers in a short period of time. Faced with Hashinomi's Violent suppression. Nagase Bizun and Morimoto Ryoharu switched strategies at the same time. During the rapid retreat, Morimoto Ryoharu's eyes opened with telekinesis, and unique illusions interfered with the perception of Hashinome. In the process, Nagase Bizun transformed into a body. It's a ghostly afterimage, flashing in every direction point through the three people constantly fighting each other, strengthening the tacit understanding and combat cooperation. This is what Shiraishi values the most. This time the Jounin joined examination mainly depends on the performance of these 3 points at the same time. In a casino in Konoha, a woman's voice suddenly burst out in rage, and a powerful force instantly destroyed the entire casino facilities. I'm going to kill him. Chapter 63, Electric Flu Props. In the middle of Konoha 45, as the date of the joint Jounin exams got closer and closer, the strength of the students trained by Shiraishi began to be less and less clearly displayed in the materials. After the final selection, Shiraishi identified 300 graduation genin quota point. This is a very huge number. The number of genin graduated from Sunagakure village over the years has never reached 300 in one go. With so many students graduating this time, many Sunagakure senior officials began to question the quality of these students. The Yamaji family was very dissatisfied with the Kazekage Rasa and the elder group, and released more than 300 places at once. This year, the number of genin graduating from the elite school's first class was less than 10, including Morimoto Ryoji, the son of a sinner. With such a large number of genin graduating, it may be difficult to reflect the educational level of Sunagakure. I think we should at least reduce the number of genin by half. The proposal made by Yamaji Ryoko at the meeting aroused strong dissatisfaction between Ebizo and Shio. Since the death of Yamaji Tachibana, Yamaji Ryoko replaced his mother as a member of the high-level meeting table. She has often caused trouble in various matters. This time she even directly take action on the number of genin graduates. You must know that this number of graduated ninjas is the result of the negotiation between the elders and the Kazekage. Although the base of this generation of genin is very large, the next few generations will tend to be elite schools. The two parties had exchanged conditions, but now they were brought up to talk about it. This time it can be said that they violated the taboo of the two old people. You haven't even seen the strength of these children. How dare you make such a judgment? Shio spoke in a cold voice, barely leaving any room for Yamaji Ryoko to speak. How about conducting a simple assessment and communicating with the graduating genin of our school? Ryoko. Yamaji's suggestion made Rasa frown, and Ibizo squinted his eyes and smiled. If this is the case, does it mean that your school is also willing to send a certain number of genin to participate in the joint Jounin examination? What is the inevitable connection between these two things? Yamaji Ryoko responded stubbornly. At this time, Chihio's mother-in-law directly interrupted. So please shut up. If you continue to entangle, we seriously suspect that the Yamaji family has already received other ninja villages bribed, rebelled against Sunagakure, and continued to create internal conflicts within Sunagakure. When Chihio said this, his eyes were cold, and the chakra energy in his body was in a fighting state. Ibi was hiding aside and fully supporting his sister. The atmosphere suddenly became solemn. The two shadow-level experts stared at each other, making Shanjiling's face turn red. How long can the Yamaji family hold us two back? Although the Yamaji family is a big family, what kind of characters are Chihio and Ibizo? Those are the only two elders left since the founding of Sunagakure. How dare Ryoko Yamaji, a junior, dare to cause trouble casually? In the past, when her mother Yamaji Tachibana was still alive, all parties had a lot of patience and restraint towards her, but now she is the head of the clan. If she continues to cause trouble for Sunagakure's internal unity, then Chihio and Ibizo will not mind. The Yamaji family was directly removed from Sunagakure village point. Although the ninja world has established various systems, strength is ultimately respected. After Yamaji Ryoko openly broke the tacit rules between the two parties, the two elders also lowered their bodies and stared at Yamaji Ryoko in front of them, ready to kill Yamaji Ryoko at any time. The murderous intention and the fluctuation of chakra did not seem to be fake. Rasa and Erikawa Akita immediately walked between the two parties to persuade them. Shanji Ryoko apologized to the two elders, but shut up, sensing The urgency of the matter, Ilyusha scolded, and at the same time Arakawa Akita of the Arakawa family also quickly advised his niece to stop causing trouble for the elders. The entire meeting broke up unhappily. Although Yamaji Ryoko's proposal was strongly refuted by the elders, it eventually caused some rifts among the senior management of Sunagakure Point. At the same time, in Sunagakure's training ground, Shiraishi was wearing a cyan coat and standing on the training ground with his hands intertwined. Hashinome, Nagase Bizun, and Morimoto Ryaji surrounded his teacher from 3 directions and started attacking at any time. Model point among the graduates. 3 people were assigned to a class and were personally coached by Shiraishi. Actual combat simulation training was indispensable every day. Point Shiraishi stood in the center, raising one hand slightly. Seeing this action, the 3 genin quickly retreated. The long-term confrontation simulation made them very clear about the movements behind Shiraishi's starting stance. Point there was a loud explosion, and countless wind blades spread out from all directions. Shiraishi's multiple whirlwind knives were more powerful than before. The wind blades swept across without leaving any room. When the 3 of them took out their weapons to resist, Shiraishi's whole body was light blue. The power of his mind was quickly released, drifting towards Nagase Bizun at an extremely fast speed. Point holding the long sword, Nagase Bizun was different from the first time he fought with Shiraishi, when he couldn't pull out the knife effectively. Now he concentrated all his will and strength on one point. At the moment, when Shiraishi was close, he pulled out the knife and cut it open. A powerful slashing storm. Point whirlwind knife, a similar whirlwind sword, combined with this sword, created a powerful wind blade breakthrough. Seeing this, Shiraishi condensed the whirlwind sword in his hand and began to quickly neutralize Nagase Bizun's attack. Point the strength of the 3 genin is improving, but at the same time, Shiraishi is also improving rapidly. Reading www.ukanu.net, especially the control and release of the whirlwind sword, is almost a level higher than before. Relying on this hand, he repeatedly suppressed 3 genin. Point at the same time as Nagase Bizun attacked, Hashinome's giant minotaur from behind suddenly crashed down. Shiraishi condensed a triangular sand tower with his other hand. With a loud explosion, the minotaur was cleverly restrained by the energy of the sand tower. Shiraishi's self-created triangular sand tower secret technique is much more perfect than when it was first developed. Countless triangular sand towers spread from around Shiraishi, forming a powerful network of telekinesis, and Morimoto Ryaji slowly stepped forward. Wind released tornado knife, cut by a powerful wind blade. Morimoto Ryaji controls the ninjutsu whirlwind sword more exquisitely than the other 2 whirlwind swords, and can cleverly use the airflow to condense and counter-attack. Point during the entire battle, the 3 genin focused on offense, while Shiraishi continued to avoid and defend. During the entire process, the 3 genin strengthened their fighting awareness and concepts. Iwagakure's joint jounin examination mainly involves fighting in the Apocalypse Mountains. These electric phoenixes I specially prepared can effectively suppress the Iwagakure ninjas. After the battle, Shiraishi looked at the panting 3 people and took out the props specially prepared this time. The lightning fu is a transformation of a lightning escape tool in the puppet mechanism. It can temporarily allow the user to gain the explosive power of lightning escape. In the past, it was a powerful prop configured on the puppet. Point after Shiraishi made a simple improvement. He made the lightning fu separately and then used it on the weapons of the 3 people, which can enhance the lethality of Iwagakure. Point after all, most of Iwagakure's ninjas have earth attributes and are restrained by thunder release. Point PS. I just got home and finished typing, and I have to prepare the second update in the early hours of the night. It's not that I have too few manuscripts to burst, but I really don't have time to type. Please be considerate. Chapter 64. Fundraising Preparations. The joint jounin exams of Sunagakure and Iwagakure soon began in the summer of Konoha 45. After more than a month of preparation, headed by Hashinome's trio, there were about 90 genin. The legion, led by Kazekage Rasa, marched toward the Apocalypse Mountains on the border between Sunagakure and Iwagakure Point. When Ilyusha is not in the village, the elders are responsible for handling routine work, including the activities of the Sand Memorial Ceremony. Point the remaining work of the ninja school has now entered a routine stage. Due to the fruit cooperation and the sale of secret techniques, The funds Shiraishi obtained can temporarily support the operation of the entire school. At the same time, a batch of funds have been retained. Shiraishi decided to purchase a large amount of equipment for research and development work. Part of the idle space in the school was used to turn it into Shiraishi's research laboratory. At the same time, a large amount of equipment borrowed from Chiyobizo, as well as new instruments purchased with priority, were moved into this research room one by one. Do you want to be my assistant? There are more than 300 graduated genin, and many of the remaining students have good theoretical abilities. Although they cannot graduate, it would be a pity if they were wasted like this. It is better to recruit them to assist in their own research laboratory. These students readily accepted Mr. Shiraishi's recruitment. They also knew that there was a huge gap in strength between themselves and the group of graduated genin. Now that they have graduated, but have not become ninjas, and become ordinary civilians, when they return home, they might as well continue to follow Mr. Shiraishi. After more than a month of training, they have a good foundation in it. Several projects in Beishi, mainly fruit cultivation and some biological research and development courses, are now on track. The main content is related to reproduction technology. It is obvious that Shiraishi is carrying out some basic biological reproduction technology. This part of the technology has not yet been carried out by anyone in the ninja world. Shiraishi is also preparing, based on the fragments of information in his memory. The Kitajima family also made great efforts in purchasing equipment, because since Shiraishi handed over the secret technique of human body to the daimyo, the latter almost praised the technique, and his relationship with the Kitajima family has become closer. Due to this relationship, Bideo Shuren went to Sand Hidden Village many times to ask Shiraishi if he had any other secrets about the human body. We won't be developing secret techniques for the human body for the time being. The next focus will be on transforming tree fruits. Regarding the tree fruit project, the Bideo family took the tree fruit seeds given by Shiraishi for field testing. As a result, they unexpectedly discovered that these plants have strong vitality, can grow in very harsh environments, and even produce fruits with excellent taste. This makes Bideo at the same time. Deo family was amazed and decided to strengthen further cooperation with Shiraishi. You really focused on doing business. After finishing the business, Shiraishi looked at Bideo Shuren, who was dressed as a strong businesswoman, and asked curiously. Bideo's strength is very good. At least if he practices well with his explosive power, he will also be an extremely terrifying taijutsu ninja in the future. I still hope to live well. This ninja world is too dangerous. The fact that Konoha's sensing class was inexplicably killed by a mysterious force was a thorn in Bideo's heart. The water in the ninja world was too deep. He didn't know which day he would die on the streets inexplicably. Now he chose to be a businessman, which is also a good choice. At least in front of Shiraishi, the Kitajima family has a natural investment foundation because of their past comrades in Kikayo Mountain. As the secret friction between Sunagakure and Iwagakure on the other side of the Apocalypse Mountains increased, and Shirogakure launched an offensive on the east coast of Konoha, the entire Far Country's top management decided to strengthen its offensive posture against Mount Kikayo after a period of negotiation. Judging from the frequency of Konoha's military mobilization and the level of material supplies, the decisive battle at Mount Kikayo will probably begin within half a year. Both sides of Sunagakure and Konoha knew that the war could not continue to be delayed, and they could only speed up the end of the war on Mount Kikayo, and the two sides would then form an alliance to suppress Iwagakure and Shirogakure. Although they both hope to end the war, they also hope to control the future alliance between the two parties. If Konoha cannot even win over Sunagakure, then the so-called alliance dominance may also be subject to many constraints from Sunagakure. Does the Bideo family have anything to do with military supplies? Beishao suddenly thought about the domestic military affairs of Fengxi and asked proactively. These are the businesses of the Shadun Sanmei family. It is not convenient for the Bideo family to intervene in them at the moment. Mentioning this matter, Bideo Shuren looked at Beishi with some doubts. Could it be that you have some good stuff ready to be promoted and sold? It's just an idea. The military business is all in the hands of the Shadun Sanmei family, but it is inevitable if you think about it. As a direct force of Feng Ying, it is not surprising that these businesses are in their hands. However, the military business of the Kingdom of Wind is still in a very simple stage of enlightenment. What can be sold is nothing more than some basic military ration pills, detonating charms, ninja tools, etc., and finally invests in some small overseas countries to cause trouble for other big countries in the past few years. With the decline of Sunagakure, this kind of business has long since dried up, and the domestic supply is insufficient. So how can we talk about developing business with other countries? I want to set up a foundation for Sunagakure Ninja School to invest in operations. Shiraishi mentioned the so-called foundation concept. Beideo didn't react for a while. After a brief explanation, Beideo became enlightened. Banks, auction houses and other businesses are run by our family. The foundation you mentioned should be of interest to the elders in the family. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Shiraishi of the Kingdom of Wind had been there some time ago, so he knew very well that the Kingdom of Wind actually had a certain economic foundation. Compared to the militaristic Sunagakure village, most of the people under the Kingdom of Wind were very wealthy. Although there are now a large number of banks in various places to assist residents in saving, there is not much income, so Shiraishi proposed to use the name of the foundation to carry out classified investments and loans, rely on high yield products to absorb funds, and then use the usury model to borrow money. Then we can combine the scale of diversified funds in other industries of BDO to carry out diversified investment work, as long as the capital chain is maintained and the big names are willing to endorse it. It can be maintained, and it can even help the BDO family devour other peers. If a big name is willing to endorse it, then ordinary residents will naturally be willing to invest and make money. With higher returns, they can naturally absorb funds quickly. Shiraishi is short of money now, and using this model to quickly raise funds can speed up the progress of its various research and development. What's more, in order to fight for the throne of the next generation of Kazekage, in addition to the necessary popularity and foundation, a strong wealth foundation is also indispensable. However, Shiraishi himself still needs to practice to improve his strength. He cannot distract too much energy due to these things, so he has to find Beideo to cooperate. After completing the explanation of these trivial matters, during the next period of time, Shiraishi followed the practice method taught by Abizo and finally successfully developed his fourth attribute, the fire attribute state. But at the same time also passed to the New Year's sacrifice of sand. Maki, Shirogakiji was promoted to jounin due to his outstanding performance on the battlefield. When he returned to the village, Maki was not in a good mood. Because during this period, words such as the secret technique of the human body, Tsunade, and drinking milk, Shiraishi developed for it, deeply stimulated and hurt the girl's delicate mind. P.S. Please recommend chapter 65, S-level fire escape technique. After establishing a further cooperative relationship with the Beideo family, Shiraishi handed everything over to Beideo Shurin to handle these matters. I believe that as their strength grows, and their status in Sunagakure village continues to improve, the Kitajima family will be happy to continue to cooperate with them in depth. By the way, this is the card you entrusted me to collect. Before leaving, Beideo Shurin placed a golden patterned card in front of Shiraishi. During the initial cooperation with the Beideo family at the Wind Kingdom government office, Shiraishi also entrusted Beideo to acquire the ninja tool card. Indestructible ninja tools cards are currently being collected by all countries, and the Kingdom of Wind is no exception. In addition to the official collection of major ninja villages, there are also many large families and some small countries that are also collecting them. As the bookmaker of the underground auction house, the Kitajima family naturally has channels to collect some scattered ninja cards. The value reported by Shiraishi is also extremely high. The amount of each card reaches the corresponding reward for S-level tasks. This time the Beideo family recovered a card from a noble in a small country for Shiraishi and handed it over to Shiraishi. This will also be Shiraishi's main method of collecting cards in the future. In addition to the bulk of the 5 great ninja villages, some of the scattered cards outside are entrusted to the Kitajima family for collection and processing. Otherwise, it would be too much to run around the world to collect cards every time. swaggering and attention-grabbing. As for the Bideo family, Shiraishi had already learned from Abizo that their relationship with the Shadun Sanmei was not harmonious, and some of the industries between the two parties were actually competitors. The reward you gave me can only collect one for me. Among so many targets, I really like this card with golden patterns, so I chose this one first. Any noble or ninja can do such a thing as collecting cards. Bideo doesn't have much doubt. Anyway, there are many such collectors in the ninja world, and there is no shortage of Shiraishi. Of course, the Bideo family attaches great importance to their business integrity, so they will take the initiative to keep Shiraishi's secret. However, I feel that golden cards are good looking, and it was due to some combination of circumstances that Shiraishi accidentally got a gold quality skill card. It has a golden pattern on the side, but the mark on it should be fire escape. So far, Shiraishi's golden quality skills have only been round pupils, and they are still severely restricted due to the inability to grasp the natural energy relationship. Yuan Tong is currently stuck at about 30% progress. Shiraishi also had some understanding of natural energy, but the information in Sunagakure village was limited, and he was unable to obtain further relevant information, which made him temporarily shelve his plan to practice the round pupil technique. Reading the golden skill card takes a lot of time compared to last time, but it still takes about a day. After Shiraishi bid farewell to Bideo, he returned home from school. When he entered the house, the first thing he did was to put on the chef uniform and start today's cooking. After a while, when Jounin returned to the village, Shiraishi cooked very seriously in order to prepare a meal for her and Shirogakiji. 2 special coconuts were gently knocked open by Shiraishi. During the process of splitting the fruit into two, the pulp was dug out for preparation. During the baking process on the fruit shell with a small flame gun in his hand, Shiraishi began to put in a hint of coconut milk. Crystal clear jam. Simply mix coconut pulp and white pear fruit to make a special golden jelly liquid. After carefully introducing it into the fruit shell, Shiraishi sprinkles the prepared special crushed biscuits and crushed ice on top. The entire process of making the dessert was completed in one go. After freezing the coconut dessert in the refrigerator to enhance the crispness of the taste, Shiraishi put on a new piece of clothing and hurried to the agreed meeting point. This time, Jounin and Castle Wall Secretary were transferred back to Sunagakure village. They needed to rest in the village for a period of time before returning to the Platikadon mountain battlefield. At the gate of the village, the two finally arrived at Sunagakure village. Jounin was not in a good mood along the way, mainly because Shiraishi's development of secret techniques on the human body made her a little annoyed and depressed. But at this time, Jounin heard a familiar voice. Welcome back, Shiraishi's appearance made Jounin feel better, but when she thought of those annoying rumors, Jounin felt a little disappointed. However, she didn't want Shiraishi to notice her mood change, so she hummed and stepped forward. Let's go back and eat together, and me. Shirogakiji was surprised that Shiraishi thought of taking him to dinner. Well, it's rare for us to get together again. As the sun sets, Sunagakure village is really charming under the red light. The three of them are walking on the road in the village. Shiraishi listens to Shirogakiji describing various things that happened in Mount Kikayo in the past 6 months. He just listened silently without interrupting. Shiraishi also noticed the changes in Jounin's mood along the way. Perhaps it was because of the war that she was a little tired. This is the crushed ice coconut dessert that had been prepared long ago was placed in front of Maki and Shirogakiji. Shiraishi then entered the kitchen to continue cooking. This is your favorite fruit, specially made into a dessert. Shirogakiji's words made Marika's face turn slightly red as he took a quick sip of the spoon in his hand and tasted it. Some of the girl's worries suddenly disappeared. No matter what, this dessert contains Shiraishi's heart, and Jounin has felt it. At the same time, Jounin also believes that Shiraishi is not such a frivolous person. He suddenly smiles happily and eats Shiraishi's desserts in mouthfuls on the side of the kitchen. Shiraishi secretly glanced at Marika's movements. Seeing that Mariki was very happy eating his dessert, Shiraishi inadvertently raised the corners of his mouth, and then the cooking speed became much faster after the three of them had dinner. Maki and Shirogaki entered the kitchen to wash the dishes. Shiraishi planned to step forward to help, but unexpectedly found that the reading of the golden card in the glasses had ended. The 20th card was successfully unlocked, which also enabled the psychic beast to unlock the second space point, a golden quality card with fire attribute. Some time ago, Shiraishi successfully developed the properties of fire chakra by soaking it in Ibiza's medicine vat. Reading www.ukanshu.net. However, compared to the three properties of water, earth, and wind, the properties of fire chakra are not well mastered. Particularly outstanding point, although Shiraishi is currently practicing the spark skill, his spark training and proficiency are still limited compared to the main combat power components such as the whirlwind knife, sand collecting technique, telekinesis technique, and black mist technique. Not only the fire escape technique such as sparks, but also the curse technique, the flying water shuriken, and other new mastery techniques Shiraishi has not practiced in depth. A person's energy is limited. There is no need to spread too much. These skills can be used for other purposes in the future. But this time the fire skills are a little different. It is another skill in a separate area, the same type as the last sand gathering technique, but this time it is a very offensive fire ninjutsu. A very special flame. Once contaminated by this flame, it will fall into a special burning state, weakening the opponent's various body skills, including reaction speed and chakra meridians as a gold quality skill. This move not only has powerful side effects, but its destructive power is also as powerful as traditional fire escape A level or above. At the same time, the amount of chakra consumed by this move is also extremely terrifying. According to Shiraishi's current body chakra, once this move is activated, it will almost consume more than half of his own chakra. The huge loss of chakra also means that this move is powerful. Compared with other fire escape techniques, it requires layers of unlocking and development. The advantage of one move is that it can be used directly. It is comprehensively judged to be an S-level fire escape technique. Blue flame. The ever-burning sign flame represents the extraordinary nature of this sign fire skill. Beishi was meditating, and the 5 fingers of his palm inadvertently burned a blue flame. PS. Please recommend and support chapter 66. Green flame. Fire escape green flame. The flame that was once the dragon that built the real world enveloped the opponent in beautiful and intense blue flames and attacked. Sometimes it puts the opponent into a burn state. This move is not so much a fire escape, but a special sign flame attack method. It has powerful corrosive and burning capabilities. It also burns very brightly and has powerful destructive power. The sentence dragon flame that builds the real world may hide Kingan's special ability. The green flames burning on Shiraishi's fingers kept beating out with powerful energy, making Shiraishi's eyelids jump. This violent energy is almost constantly devouring all the energy around it, and then burns more violently. Compared with ordinary fire escape, the green flame fire is difficult to extinguish. Beishi suddenly realized that something was wrong and directly formed a small triangular sand tower to seal the remaining green flames. Then a small sand cave appeared on the ground, and the triangular sand tower leads deep into the ground. After the triangular sand tower was lowered into the ground bit by bit, Shiraishi activated a special sealing array to seal the green flame energy. This was the first time Shiraishi used the power of the blue flame. Although it was very weak, his chakra kept pouring out like a gate opening. For a while, sweat continued to drip from Shiraishi's forehead. Although the green flame jutsu can be used as a trump card, to truly exert its effect, you may need to have a certain amount of chakra to activate it perfectly. Now, just using it once would consume chakra like this, and I really can't afford to use it. In terms of proficiency, Kingan is only around 1%. According to the previous system settings, after reaching 100% proficiency, the power of this fire escape technique will be unimaginable. This is also the first time Shiraishi has obtained a gold quality attack escape technique. Stone, what are you thinking about? After cleaning up the papers in the kitchen, she found that Shiraishi was in a daze, so she was a little nervous and stepped forward to ask, because Shiraishi's previous appearance made her very worried, whether he had special thoughts about Tsunade now. I'm thinking about some spiritual matters. Volume. Have you developed the second chakra attribute now? Well, it's water attribute. Under Shiraishi's gaze, Jounin said shyly point on the eve of leaving Kakayo Mountain. Jounin developed the properties of water, the second attribute, through continuous practice. These two water escape techniques will be left to you. Jounin. Shiraishi is still very concerned about Jounin's safety. Water escape and foam technique. Water escape and flying water shuriken are directly handed over to Jounin. Among them, Jounin mainly focuses on practicing the water escape technique of flying water shuriken. The flying water shuriken is very simple and practical on the battlefield. For example, compared to ordinary shurikens, the flying water shuriken's pure lethality is not weaker than that of ordinary shurikens. Its special feature is that there is no need to take out a ninja tool to throw it, but it is directly concentrated and shot. Jounin herself is an excellent sealer. With the flying water shuriken and foam technique, she can effectively improve her battlefield defense, as expected of a genius R/U-2026 ninja. He took out 2 of these little water escapes at random. Shirogakiji looked over at Shiraishi and Jounin's exchange, with a bit of envy and sourness in his tone. This is the Dianganfu that Shiraishi prepared for you. Before Shiraishi could say anything, Jounin was on guard to teach Shirogakiji a lesson. Although the Qingyuan family also has something like the lightning fu, it is a rare item after all. With the help of this item, the Red Flounder's combat effectiveness can be effectively improved. It's just a matter of envy. The current Shirogakiji still has a single chakra attribute. Of course, the thing that Shirogakiji envies the most is Shiraishi's fairy mirror. Shiraishi's repair of the scalloped mirror caused quite a stir in the circle of puppet masters. This magical costume, which almost gave the puppet master a boost, was the dream of any puppet master, but Shirogakiji didn't ask Shiraishi to borrow it. The existence of Fei Yujing symbolizes that Shiraishi is the person recognized by the previous Kazekage. As long as Shiraishi still owns this puppet, he can invisibly gain the support of most puppet masters as Shiraishi's classmate. Shirogakiji Tsukasa supports Shiraishi unconditionally. He, like Maki, is also silently working hard to practice. Shiraishi also knew some of Shirogakiji's thoughts, so in addition to the electric dragon, Shiraishi also prepared 2 props. Shiraishi took out 2 scrolls, and after a burst of smoke dissipated, 2 small triangular mirror puppet props appeared in front of Shirogakiji. This is, as a puppet master, Shirogakiji could feel the purpose of this 3-sided mirror prop when he touched it. He suddenly said with excitement, "Does it have similar functions to the Feiyu mirror?" The Lihuang mirror is indeed similar in principle to the Feiyu mirror, but it is not as powerful in defense as the Feiyu mirror, and the increase in chakra line is only about 3 times. Based on the principle of the Feiyujing, Shiraishi created a weakened mass-produced version of the Lihuang mirror. Compared with the powerful defense of the Feiyu mirror, the Lihuang mirror is very fragile. Once the enemy discovers and seizes the flaw, it has almost no defense. However, the Lihuang mirror can also triple the chakra line control of a puppet master. Even so, the cost of the Lihuang mirror is ridiculously expensive. 2 units are Shiraishi's current limit. According to Cheng Yuan's current capabilities, with the assistance of 2 Lihuang mirrors, he can control 6 puppets to fight at once. The destructive power and lethality are increased by several levels, which is equivalent to a puppet legion squad. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Delivering these things to the 2 companions also shows that Shiraishi's attitude towards the 2 has changed. Last month, news came that the Ada brothers and their fathers had died on the battlefield at Mount Kikayo. The sparse Ada family was suddenly eliminated, even though it had a good reputation in Sunagakure in the past. The death of the Ada brothers and some of his classmates deeply stimulated Shiraishi, and lamented the fragility of life. The 2 people in front of him are his valued partners, so Shiraishi doesn't want anything to happen to them, just like the Ada brothers and Kitajima senpai in the past. Compared with the liveliness of Shiraishi's family, the top management of Sunagakure village are also busy with everything. The Kazekage and Tsuchikage on the other side of the Revelation mountain range have successfully met. Compared to the old fox Inoki, Rasa's methods are still a bit immature, and he is controlled by Inoki in every aspect of conversation and communication. Nose goes. Fortunately, in the first round of assessment, 39 out of the 90 genin of Sunagakure village stood out. Compared to the 24 genin from Iwagakure, Sunagakure's outstanding performance suddenly amazed Iwagakure, didn't you say that Sunagakure's abilities as a kid in the ninja school are all poor? Why does it seem like he's doing better than us now? Anoki's face was ugly. The students sent by Sunagakure this time were all rookies. The Earth country had already investigated this clearly, but he never expected that the children of his own village were not as good as these brats. Don't worry, father. My 3 disciples are also taking the jounin exams this time. They will definitely teach those brats of Sunagakure a lesson. Yellow Earth, the eldest son of Anoki, the third Kazekage, stepped forward and handed Anoki a glass of water to appease his father's dissatisfaction. HMPH, those 3 little guys, although they have very bad personalities, their strength is among the top notch among Iwagakure genin, and they should be able to rub Sunagakure's spirit. Chapter 67, Obstruction. There will be a memorial ceremony for the sand in 3 days. I heard that Shiraishi will also participate in it. After receiving Li Huangjing's scroll, the chief of the city wall of the Beishi family suddenly asked Beishi about the memorial ceremony for the sand in the new year. I just handed the torch to the 2 elders, delighted, since the Kazekage is conducting a joint jounin exam with that Kazekage in the Enlightenment Mountains. This year's memorial ceremony for the Land of Wind will be handled by 2 elders, with Shiraishi accompanying them on stage. However, this is a very clear signal to the people within Sunagakure. This incident made the top management of Shadun-sanmei very unhappy, because although Alyosha handed over the power of hosting the Sand Memorial to the 2 elders, it stands to reason that in addition to the elders, the younger generation members of the Shadun family would also need to help light the torch point at last year's Sand Memorial ceremony. Eriko Meru accompanied Kazekage Rasa in the Sand Memorial ceremony. Of course, at that time, Ibizo and Shiraishi were engaged in a fierce battle with Konoha on Mount Kakayo, and were not in the village point. The family members of Shanjilingzi yelled at these elders. Compared with his current endurance, Shanjilingzi had no scruples and immediately decided to cause some trouble for Shiraishi at the Sand Memorial ceremony. Uncle, it's up to you. Sitting opposite Yamaji Riko, a white-haired old man named Yamaji Tachibana is a well-known penman in Sunagakure village. He often criticizes the current political situation and compares the elders to Sunagakure's cancer. The existence of the ninja school is a meaningless consumption of Sunagakure source point. These remarks often set off a trend, and even many civilian ninjas believe that the elders are mainly responsible for the current situation of the ninja school point. It would be best if he came forward to give the elders a good scolding. It's pointless to write something to scold them. I'd better educate that genius on the day of the memorial. Don't develop ninjutsu that insults our Sunagakure's reputation, just to flatter the great name. Tachibana. Yamaji spoke with a hint of pride. He was a well-known cultural figure in Sunagakure village. If he attacked this brat, he would definitely mess up the entire memorial ceremony. Better be careful, uncle. Recalling the murderous look of Ebizo and Shio that day, Yamaji Riko felt a little scared. Don't worry. Before Ibizo and Shio became second-generation disciples, they often borrowed books from our house to study. My father, who passed away at that time, helped them a lot. I don't think they will do anything to me. With such a relationship, Yamaji Tachibana is not afraid of Ibizo and Shio's attitude. As for that brat, he doesn't take it seriously at all. To put it bluntly, isn't it just the elder group's campaign to launch a puppet to suppress Sand Escape 3? The true younger generation of the pulse point. Maybe these secret techniques he developed were originally the results of the elder council themselves, and were then transferred to him. Ibizo is an old man and an old pervert, so it is not unusual for him to develop this secret technique on the human body. Juan, have a good rest. I will make lunch for you these days. After leaving the door of Shiraishi's house, Shiraishi's sudden words made Juan stunned for a moment. Then the girl's eyes seemed to have stars, but her face turned red and she nodded, almost running away from Shiraishi's house. You're really doing better now than before. Shirogakiji watched Juan leave and couldn't help but sigh that his companion had finally figured it out. But Shiraishi's next answer surprised him, because you two are very important partners, not only to Juan, but also to you. Then why don't I give out bento every day? Shirogaki asked Shiraishi in a very shy state. The latter pushed up his glasses. "Let's find a suitable partner." In an instant, Shirogakiji suffered 100% critical damage and left the Shiraishi house in disgrace. He never expected that this guy who usually looked like a lump of wood would be so terrifying. When he complained in the next 3 days, Shiraishi spent most of his time on King Gaon's basic training and simulation as a minimum S-level fire escape technique. The terrifying chakra consumption produced during each release of the green flame fire almost caused Shiraishi to collapse, but in order to improve his proficiency, Shiraishi still reluctantly trained regarding the control and skills of flames. Shiraishi received a record of the key points of fire escape knowledge sent by Ye Cang some time ago. It is also fire. The characteristics of the green flame fire and the burning fire are somewhat similar. According to the training model provided by Ye Cang, Shiraishi reluctantly released the green flame at once and spewed out a huge green flame into 3 green flame bullets. Generally speaking, the terrifying destructive properties of the blue flame are difficult to erase. Shiraishi didn't want to be noticed by other people in the village right now, so he formed a seal with his hands and quickly created a giant triangular sand tower that absorbed the blue flame seal. With the blessing of the unique sealing array, the green flames were sealed and then transformed into the sand pile at the foot of the white stone. The sand collected at Beishi's feet can be used as a small seal connection array through the use of transformation techniques. Previously, Beishi at home used this seal connection to transfer the first sealed blue flame to the depths of the ground. With this connection seal in place, Shiraishi can summon these previously stored triangular sand towers at any time and unseal the green flames inside for one-time use. As Shiraishi's original earth escape technique, these triangular sand tower fusion attacks Ukanshu www.ukanshu.net seals and a combination of many functions to increase mental power, combined with the increased amount of chakra in the sand collection technique, greatly enhance the combat effectiveness of Shiraishi's trinity. A large number of triangular sand towers were integrated into the depths of the ground at the feet of Beishi. After being temporarily sealed, Beishi was already sweating profusely and began to sit down to meditate and rest while repairing his lost physical strength. After a long time, Shiraishi suddenly opened his eyes. After checking the time, he neatly changed into a set of purple clothes, held a silver knife, and stepped out of the house to the central area of Sunagakure village. As the most important sacrificial activity of Sunagakure, the sacrifice of sand is an annual meeting that the elders attach great importance to. In addition to Ratsu's absence this time, Ibiza was very selfish and stuffed Shiraishi into the most important part of the lighting torch. The ceremony of the sand memorial was no different from the previous ones. As a disciple accompanying the 2 elders, Shiraishi stood on the high platform together and listened to Ibiza and Shio speaking one after another. Most of the contents are official polite remarks to protect Sunagakure. Today, Shiraishi mainly serves as a foil. Next, in the torch lighting ceremony, Shiraishi hands the torch to the 2 elders, which is his only job. Compared with the sand memorial ceremony that he and Jounin attended 2 years ago, there are not many villagers in the village now. Most of them are old and weak, women and children, and the young and middle-aged ninjas are stationed at the front line, which looks much more depressed. Soon entering the final stage, just when Shiraishi stepped off the stage, picked up a lit torch, and was about to pass it to the 2 elders, a voice suddenly interrupted Shiraishi's movements. "Young man, I don't think it's appropriate for you to send torches." Among the crowd, a very drunk old man walked out and stared at Shiraishi with a sinister face. A villain who relies on the secret skills of the human body to please the daimyo. Is he qualified to hold this torch? You should leave it to me. Chapter 68. One knife. Yamaji Tachibana's words were full of provocation, and Ibizo and Shio's expressions immediately changed. They never expected that Yamaji Tachibana, who was so senior in the Yamaji family, would come forward to stop Shiraishi from sending the torch. Although the elder of the Yamaji family is not very strong, he is only at the level of an ordinary Jounin. However, in the past, when the 2 Chiyo siblings had not yet become apprentices to the samana, they had been taken care of by the Yamaji family. The fathers of Yamaji Tachibana and Yamaji Tachibana also allowed him to the 2 of them borrowed books, to learn the basics of various ninjutsu. Although the two later became the elders and Kazekage advisors, and gave enough rewards and favors to the Yamaji family, after all, the friendship was still there, and Yamaji Tachibana jumped out this time, which suddenly made the atmosphere on the court solemn. Shiraishi remained silent, and tried to use more force on his hands. Yamaji Tachibana sneered when he saw this, and held on tightly, to prevent Shiraishi from picking up the torch. They say you are not qualified to hold the torch. Why do you still want to deny this? Yamaji Tachibana is very eloquent. In his words, the Shiraishi in front of him is a villain who relies on flattering the daimyo. He developed the secret technique of the human body in order to let the daimyo's harem live in harmony. Although many female ninjas present had heard about this incident, they did not expect that Shiraishi had actually developed that kind of secret technique, and their expressions suddenly became ugly. No matter what, Tachibana Yamaji must make Shiraishi's reputation bad here. As long as he makes him bad, then he will definitely lose the favorable competition for the future Kazekage throne, and will eventually be marginalized, just like Konoha scapegoat Denzo. That way, this old man is too much. Where did he come from? Cheng Yuan's face became angry, and just as he was about to step forward, he was caught tightly by Jounin. That's the elder of the Shanlu family. You can't go up. But, didn't you hear? I heard it, but I want to believe Shiraishi. He will handle this matter well. Jounin was very worried about Shiraishi's situation, but at the same time he also understood that, if the current Shirogakiji went up with him, it would only create more trouble. You don't refute a word. Are you feeling guilty? There was a hint of slyness in Yamaji Tachibana's eyes as he tried to put Shiraishi's matter into action here. Or are you just a superficial genius, and the so-called secret skills are just stolen from other people's achievements? The accusations became more and more serious. The more Tachibana Yamaji spoke, the more he let himself go. He almost made Shiraishi worthless from beginning to end, as if Shiraishi himself was a puppet held up by the elders, and had no effect whatsoever. Facing the arrogant Shanji Juping, Shiraishi slowly put down the torch. Under the light of the fire, he looked at Shanji Juping faintly. Although his face was calm, he looked at Shanji Juping a little psychologically. If you don't say anything to defend yourself, are you acquiescing to all this? Faced with Yamaji Tachibana's constant provocations, Shiraishi put down the torch in his hand, and then looked at the old man opposite, with no hint of joy or anger in his tone. Does this senior of the Yamaji family dare to take a blow from me? Shiraishi's words were very soft, but they spread quickly among the crowd like a bomb. Several ninjas from the Yamaji family quickly began to make moves. Shiraishi seemed not to see these people. The purpose of making a fuss about me and deliberately provoking trouble at the Sand Memorial is just to cause conflict between the elders and the Kazekage. When the Battle of Mount Kikayo came, Iwagakure in the direction of the Apocalypse Mountains was eyeing him, so he chose to create a topic and stir up trouble at the Sand Memorial. Do you have Sunagakure in your heart? Faced with those accusations, Shiraishi had no way to refute, but Tachibana Yamaji deliberately set the pace to mess up the current internal harmony among the top management of Sunagakure. The moment this was pulled off, the atmosphere on the scene changed subtly. Many ninjas also realized that everything the old man Tachibana Yamaji said just now was almost alluding to the elder group. Now that the situation in Sunagakure is so bad, there are still people who maliciously provoke conflicts. I'm afraid they really have ulterior motives. Thinking of this, most people looked at Shanlu Tachibana a little unkindly. Without giving Yamaji Tachibana a chance to speak further, Shiraishi's sword was gently unsheathed, and the silver sword glow shone a hint of coldness in the dark night. With murderous intent boiling over, Shanlu Juping was suddenly shocked. To put it bluntly, he is just an old playboy who has jounin strength, but has been retired for many years. After all, he is still a waste. Uncle Shanlu may be drunk. Don't take it too seriously. I'll help him take this stab. Yamaji Ryuko quickly dodged and stood between the two of them. Shiraishi's words and the knife made the atmosphere tense. Although Yamaji Ryuko was stupid, she still had to take the situation into consideration, so she thought about using this method to resolve the embarrassing situation. Facing the contemporary head of the Yamaji family, Shiraishi didn't have any scruples. The silver sword combined with the whirlwind sword instantly killed countless storm blades. This guy's really a killer. Although he is a puppet master, Shanjilingzi is also the head of one of the 3 sand escape lines. His natural sand control skills are extremely powerful. Countless sand and dust are rolled up to form a huge defensive barrier, which quickly shatters all the wind blades for Shanji duping point as the sand and dust melted away little by little. Shanlolingzi noticed the angry looks of the 2 elders on the stage and smiled. Let's end this matter, uncle. Let's go back. Pity, just. When many people felt sorry for Shiraishi's sword attack, they saw the silver knife in Shiraishi's hand gently withdrawing. The previously shattered wind blade did not really disappear. Instead, it condensed again behind the mountain road Tachibana and turned into a huge whirlwind knife. I didn't catch it. Sighing softly, the whirlwind knife fell straight down. The moment Shanjilingzi turned around, he saw that his uncle Sanji Tachibana was violently chopped off by the whirlwind sword. His body and head were separated immediately, and his head was under the astonished look of Yamaji Tachibana. 360. It quickly spun and fell, spilling blood on the stage. I welcome you to come for revenge at any time. The terrifying and bloody scene stimulated everyone at the scene, and the instigator, Shiraishi, picked up the torch and stepped onto the memorial stage neatly step by step. Shiraishi walked sonorously and forcefully, without any concern for the blood-stained stage below. Starting from the vicious provocation of the Yamaji family just now, Shiraishi would not leave any room. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Since ancient times, the Shadow Road has been formed by stepping on the blood of the enemy. The reaction and courage Shiraishi showed just now seemed to let the 2 of them see the heroic aura of the first Kazekage who unified the land of Wind Point. Yamaji Tachibana's death might have become a big trouble in normal times, but today he took the initiative to stir up trouble at the Sand Memorial Ceremony, and he brought it upon himself. Looking at Ibizo and Shio, Shiraishi, who was wearing purple clothes, handed over the torch to the 2 elders. As promised, Shiraishi slowly knelt down and said, "Fortunately, I did not disgrace my life." Suddenly, the entire Sunagakure village cheered all day long. Compared to Tachibana Yamaji's accusation just now, Shiraishi's strong counterattack and beheading of his opponent inspired the group of ninjas and civilians to cheer, because from Shiraishi, they saw Sunagakure's future hope, and as for the so-called development of secret techniques, they had already automatically ignored it. The members of the elder group are also ready to make a move. If the Dao Shanlu family continues to cause trouble, they will be ready to catch them all in one fell swoop. Luo Shan is not in the village, and now it is a good choice to use this incident as a reason to eradicate the 3 Shadun veins and make Feng Ying lose his help. Anyway, the Shanlu family was the first to provoke. Shanjilingzi was stunned at the scene. She never expected that a sand control technique could not block the whirlwind knife attack just now, nor did she expect that Shiraishi's wind escape skills were so profound that he could condense the wind blade again. This kid is looking for death. Just when she was about to run away, Iroquois Akita quickly grabbed his niece and said, "Don't give the elders any more excuses to massacre us and release 3 lineages. The Kazekage is not in the village now." Iroquois Akita really felt a little emotional. How could his cousin give birth to such a daughter and such a mentally retarded brother? I'm afraid that today's incident will become the laughingstock of Shadun Sanmei forever. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, Counterattack. The Sand Memorial Ceremony ended quickly, but the conflict between Shiraishi and Yamaji Tachibana did not end so simply. Yamaji Tachibana's strength was not strong, but his seniority was very high. For such an elder to be beheaded by Shiraishi at a public memorial ceremony for the sand, it was simply a shame and humiliation that he couldn't bear. Kill that brat. Avenge Elder Tachibana. Looking at the indignant crowd, Yamaji Ryoko's anger was suddenly aroused. Forgetting Iroquois Akita's previous warning, she said coldly, "Don't worry, I will definitely take that kid's head tonight." The Family's face is related to the status of the Sand Release 3 lineages in Sand Hidden Village. If Shiraishi is allowed to slap them in the face, how can the Sanji family gain a foothold in the Kingdom of Wind? This family, which had produced 3 generations of Kazekage, the strongest Kazekage, must not be willing to be treated in such a provocative manner for a time. The entire Yamaji family was in a boil. Yamaji Ryoko personally led the ninjas in the family to the house where Shiraishi lived from 3 directions in the Iroquois family. Iroquois Akita's face changed slightly after receiving the letter from the Yamaji family. He did not expect that his niece would have such a hot temper. Not long after the Sand Memorial incident ended, he personally led a team to kill the young man's home point. This domineering style, as well as Shiraishi's position in the hearts of the elders, once she gets her hands on it, Sunagakure village will fall into huge civil strife. The Shanlu family must not be allowed to act so recklessly. No matter what, Iroquois Akita is still a qualified politician. He knows that the situation cannot be chaotic, especially due to serious internal and external troubles and diplomatic pressure. At this time, he cannot withstand a turbulent civil strife. Go to Shiraishi's house to support. No matter how others view this matter, Iroquois Akita must make adjustments to avoid further expansion of conflicts throughout the entire Oasis Ring area. Yamaji Ryoko, led by Sunagakure Security Department and Anbu, jointly blocked the way. The Sunagakure jounin headed by Yamaji Ryoko blocked the direction of Yamaji Ryoko with a serious face. "You, mountain road ninja, please restrain yourself." Faced with the obstruction, Yamaji Ryoko's face was very gloomy. The other 2 attacking Yamaji family ninjas were composed of a group of Jounin and Genin. It would be okay if they were blocked, but assuming that Sunagakure let them in intentionally, I thought I could join them this way, but I didn't expect the security department to directly block them. Yamaji Ryoko planned to make a powerful breakthrough, but saw Kazekage's wife Gururo walking out with a pale face. "Ryoko, you can't be impulsive." Gururo, Shanji. Lingzi was very worried when she showed up. "Even though she was pregnant, you shouldn't be here. That's wrong. You can't do this. Sunagakure will split." Gururo is very anxious. Yamaji Ryoko's character and temper will push Sunagakure into a situation of complete self-destruction. Although Shiraishi is just an ordinary special jounin, his identity and background, if something goes wrong, I'm afraid the elders will completely oppose to the Kazekage family. Thinking of this, Geriyuro became anxious and passed out, causing Yamaji Ryoko to panic. "Where is the medical class? Where is it?" In the backyard of Shiraishi, the other 2 groups of ninjas from the Yamaji family gathered together. About 30 genin and 5 jounin were stationed outside the gate of Shiraishi's backyard, waiting for the arrival of Yamaji Ryoko and others. However, there was no news from the Sanji family for a long time, and several jounin looked at each other. "We have to wait for the clan leader and others to arrive. After all, that kid is also a special jounin." When Shiraishi was mentioned as a special jounin, another jounin dismissed it. "Special jounin? Isn't it just that there are stronger jounin among them, but they don't reach the strength of jounin? We have 5 jounin. What are we afraid of? Fight in." Without waiting for his companions to stop him, the jounin of the Yamaji family led the group of genin around him and quickly rushed into the courtyard behind Shiraishi. "Die!" With crazy shouts, this group of ninjas poured into the Shiraishi mansion, and the other jounin had no choice but to follow. Unexpectedly, the moment he stepped into the house, a mysterious energy barrier suddenly appeared. 15 careful triangular sand towers appeared in different directions, forming a special defensive barrier. Suddenly, the candlelight was lit, and in the dim light, Shiraishi was seen sitting at home, with the silver knife in his hand gently placed on the table, allowing these ninjas to invade his backyard. Fortunately, the fruit trees I planted before were all moved to the school campus, otherwise they would all be ruined. After killing Yamaji Tachibana with 1 sword, Shiraishi was mentally prepared to face the Yamaji family's revenge. Especially because of Yamaji Ryoko's character, there must be action tonight. Ibizo also considered this aspect and planned to stop all the Yamaji family, but Shiraishi was refused. There is no room for concession, because Shanji Lingzi is not a woman measured by common sense. The elder group has successfully blocked Shanlu Lingzi's path, and the remaining reserve forces of the Shanlu family have become the targets of his attack. Since the Shanlu family is so hostile to him today, Shiraishi will not hold back point to this day. Continuing to be patient will only give the opponent an opportunity to take advantage. Only by maintaining a strong enough attitude can we gain buffer time. After all, the joint jounin exams are over. Judging from the actions, Iwagakure will definitely invade in a large scale. When the time comes, as Feng Shadow's Eluosha doesn't have time for internal liquidation point under the night light, the Shiraishi house was brightly lit, and while countless candle lights flickered, UU reading www.ukanshu.net saw a special puppet with a 6-sided mirror, slowly starting up. The blood-red thread, controlled by Shiraishi, turned into a stormy wave. All 6 mirrors of Fei Yujing were opened, and countless chakra lines shot out from all directions. At the same time, 6 triangular sand towers emerged from the ground. When the special formation was activated, they quickly gathered into 18 white stone clones as the second generation Kazekage's strongest auxiliary puppet. The existence of Fei Yujing directly allowed Shiraishi to control the number of earth clones to an astonishing number. As for the chakra required for these 18 earth clones, Shiraishi had prepared it in advance, otherwise he would do so all at once. With so many clones, Shiraishi's physical strength can't keep up. 18 white stones were dispatched at the same time, and the same silver knives in their hands, slashed to the right at extremely fast speeds. According to Shiraishi's mental perception, the chakra on the right side is weak, and it is obvious that the majority of them are genin. Although the number on the left side is small, the chakra content of several jounin is amazing. In this battle, Shiraishi, with the tacit attitude of Ibizo and Shio, was bound to give the Yamaji family a painful beating point. After taking off his glasses and placing them on the table, Shiraishi's eyes became sharp. In the past, Shiraishi had said that Shiraishi wearing glasses and Shiraishi without glasses had completely different auras, but as his sleeves were tumbling, a faint flow of black mist appeared around the white stone. At the same time, his hands quickly formed seals, and dozens of flying water shurikens quietly and quickly attacked the crowd under the control of his mind. Next, test the actual combat effectiveness of the newly developed illusion. A very free and easy attack. The white stone shrouded in mist gives people an extremely unreal feeling. Elusive bubbles appear under your feet, making the surrounding atmosphere very subtle. It seems real and illusory, and the bubbles are as elusive as phantoms. PS. Please recommend. Please recommend. It's a new week. New books need support. I don't want to rush into the street. I'm asking for recommendations. Chapter 70. Bloodstained Blade. With a bang, the flying water shuriken was very fast and more concealed. With a little bit of black mist impurities mixed into it, this group of genin and chunin who lacked sensory ninja suffered a lot. Normally, this group of people would not be so embarrassed when facing Beishi in other places, but in Beishi's villa, the outcome of the battle this time was different. During the process of piercing the flying water shuriken with the kunai in his hand, the most impulsive chunin from before made a leap to avoid the attacks of several Shiraishi, and jumped directly in front of the main body of Shiraishi behind him. Just as the kunai in his hand stabbed, he saw Shiraishi. The figure suddenly distorted and turned into countless bubbles. This is an illusion. According to their understanding, Shiraishi seems not to be proficient in illusion except telekinesis, so why is he trapped in the phantom, illusion phantom, since developing the properties of water-based chakra, Shiraishi has developed his own water escape technique, using foam and black mist to create a mirage illusion, which is used to confuse the opponent's 5 senses. This is a new technique independently developed by Shiraishi, combined with the substitute technique and the clone technique, can effectively confuse the opponent. The bubble technique is of great value in Shiraishi's eyes, because in addition to the basic water attribute, it can also be specially integrated with other attributes of chakra, which can produce unexpected effects. In fact, after so many years after the death of the second generation Mizukage, illusion techniques such as mirage have basically disappeared in the ninja world. So Shiraishi used similar techniques again, and the ninjas of the Yamaji family who had never seen such techniques suddenly became confused. Using illusions to confuse him, Shiraishi held a silver knife in his hand. As his whole body rotated, countless bubbles shot out. While everyone was stunned, Shiraishi finally turned on the most ferocious mode. The figure turned into countless bubbles and flashed. At the same time, the knife in Shiraishi's hand was seen directly piercing the head of a young genin. Blood spattered wildly. Shiraishi's side turned into an earth clone and shot out a whirlwind knife, removing another dozen or so people. The old genin's arm. The scene was extremely chaotic for a while. Hateful. The Chunin tried to step forward, but he saw countless chakra lines falling from all directions and wrapping around his body. Shiraishi moved on countless ghostly foam ghosts. The whirlwind sword was projected out and chopped off the opponent's head in an instant. The leading Yamaraku ninja was much more experienced than other clan ninjas. Seeing that there were so many ambushes here, he quickly ordered his companions to calm down. Don't be chaotic, hold your ground. It's stable. The understatement sounded like the god of death was coming for his life. The Chunin quickly formed a double seal and retreated, but the triangular sand tower that appeared below at some point produced a huge energy explosion. The strong explosion directly broke the Chunin's right leg. At this time, Shiraishi suddenly appeared, and the silver sword danced, and the whirlwind shot out domineeringly. Careful. The third Chunin stepped forward to block it, and formed a seal to activate the earth escape. However, he saw the rising earth wall exploding automatically as if out of control. The soil here has been manipulated by him. What a terrible calculation process. The sword appeared at an unknown time, and the sword light danced rapidly, accompanied by a trembling fight, barely giving the two Chunin any chance. Shiraishi's sword was fatal, and the blood and sand became turbid in an instant. The reaction and ability shown by the Chunin just now were that he must be the first to kill the target. Shiraishi was still wearing the purple coat of the Sand Festival. He picked up a rag and gently wiped the blood on the knife. In the process, a storm swept up the body of the dead Chunin. The moment Shiraishi activated the seal, the corpse suddenly exploded. Black mist and blood, the fog merged and dispersed, covering the area. At this time, Shiraishi seems to be completely different from the image he wore in the past, when he wore glasses. In terms of temperament, he is very similar to Orochimaru's style. The pungent smelling dark blood mist, the candle light flickering with faint light, the bloody massacre continued, and the loss of the main force of Yamaji Ryuko led to all the Chunin genin of the Yamaji family who were originally auxiliary to be targeted by Shiraishi. Retreat. In less than a few minutes, more than half of the Yamaji family was destroyed. They knew that they could not stop this evil star before the clan leader provided support. The Yamaji family ninjas must evacuate, otherwise the younger generation of the Yamaji family will be doomed. But how could Shiraishi? We'll give them a chance. The whirlwind knife is condensed and formed. Compared with Shiraishi's other ninjutsu, this move's own chakra mobilization is already clear in his mind. The silver knife in his hand cooperates with the whirlwind knife to kill quickly. In the direction of retreat, stone walls were erected on the ground, blocking the way of the group of Sunagakure. The clone of Beishita rushed from behind and quickly fought with the group of ninjas. In less than a moment, the winner was decided. The bloodstains on the blade kept dripping on the ground. There was no room for the silver sword in Shiraishi's hand. Any ninja who came to attack Shiraishi's family would almost all fall into his hands. The corpses and blood on the ground symbolized the ferocity of the battle just now. The Sunagakure Intelligence Department and Perception Department, who were observing in the dark, couldn't help but sweat. They didn't expect that this disciple of the elders was really very powerful. His mirage method combined with the ghost killing technique was simply better than Kirigakure's group. Sangmenxing is still scary. In Sunagakure village, Anbu and other intelligence departments are in the hands of the elders. As soon as a sand memorial incident occurred, Ibizo and Chiyo ordered Anbu to stay outside to prevent the Yamaji family from stirring up trouble again. When Shiraishi gently pushed open the door, the tragic scene in the courtyard behind made many Sunagakure ninjas look a little unbearable. In any case, these ninjas were supposed to be Sunagakure's external companions, but now they died from internal strife. Shiraishi was a special jounin, so it was not an accident to successfully ambush this ragtag group of genin and chunin. After all, the real elite of the Yamaji family were blocked by the Enbu and the security department. When Yamaji Ryuko arrived, several senior members of the elder group appeared almost at the same time. Looking at the family ninja who suffered heavy casualties in the backyard, the female jounin's hair seemed to explode, releasing a strong murderous aura. Little devil, from now on, the Shanlu family will be with you until death. Shiraishi turned a deaf ear to Yamaji Ryoko's words and ignored them. He just signaled the Enbu and security personnel to come in and clean up the mess inside. The Shanlu family has suffered a big loss, losing so many people. Although he and the Shanlu family have a bloody feud, since he plays a role of the fuse, it depends on how the big bosses from all parties clean up the mess. This battle had a serious impact on the morale of the Yamaji family. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Of course, this was also related to Yamaji Ryoko's poor command ability. The troops were divided into 3 groups according to their strength. As a result, after the main force was blocked by the higher-ups, they went both ways and gave away their heads. When Arakawa Akita arrived, he looked at the scene in the house and had to sigh. He looked at his niece and gently stepped forward to hug her. Go back first, Lingzi. The voices of relatives, coupled with the humiliation suffered that night, made Shanlu Lingzi's voice choked up. But uncle, this guy killed so many people. In front of Arakawa Akita, Yamaji Ryoko couldn't control her tears and couldn't help but shed tears. As the head of the clan, she suffered such shame and humiliation and inner pain, which made Arakawa Akita feel the same point. Although Yamaji Ryuko's mind was not very bright, the 3 sand escape veins were connected by blood. Arakawa Akita signaled everyone to take her back to rest first, and then he would handle the corpses of the sacrificed companions. You are indeed a genius. This battle is enough to make you famous. Compared to Yamaji Ryuko's arrogance, Arakawa Akita's tone was very calm, and there was no hint of joy, anger, sorrow, or joy in him. He controlled his emotions so perfectly, showing the courage and mind of a large family. Sorry, this is not the situation I wanted to see. Shiraishi looked at Arakawa Akita in front of him with a very indifferent attitude. The two looked at each other for a moment, and Arakawa Akita was also well aware of the difficulty of the young man in front of him. Sunagakure cannot withstand a round of civil war. Today's forbearance does not mean that we will be afraid of your butcher knife. After saying these words softly, Arakawa Akita turned and left. Compared to Shanlu Lingzi, this old fox is more terrifying. Unfortunately, like Yamaji Tachibana, he has been tortured by old injuries from past wars and cannot survive for long. Arakawa Maru is more irritable and unstable than Yamaji Ryoko. Chapter 71. The courage to put away the knife. The night of the Sand Memorial passed very long. Although the Yamaji family retreated, it did not mean that the trouble was over. Shiraishi looked at the corpses being carried out in front of him without any expression. What was that rioting chakra in the courtyard just now? Before leaving, Ibizo suddenly asked Shiraishi. He noticed that there seemed to be a strange chakra fluctuation hidden in Shiraishi's home, just like Ye Cang's burning escape, but there were subtle differences, just some trump cards. Looking at Shiraishi's eyes, Ibizo was silent for a while and shook his head. We will help you solve the problem, just don't scare us anymore. The so-called chakra fluctuations similar to the burning release are actually the blue flame energy arranged by Shiraishi. Even after layers of seals, Ibizo was still aware of this subtle chakra reaction point. In addition to the triangular sand towers previously deployed, there are also many special triangular sand towers hidden in Beishi's home, which store a large amount of green flames. If the seal is unlocked and Ibizo can feel the full energy of the blue flames, I'm afraid he won't simply leave. There is no room for him to give in in tonight's battle, nor can he give in. If Sunagakure really can't stop Yamaji Ryoko, then Shiraishi will inevitably detonate the green flame energy under his own courtyard in the face of the Yamaji family's persecution. With such a huge amount of green flame stored, once Shiraishi opens the unsealed state, the powerful destructive flames contained in it can level almost everything around it and blow up half of the village. Because of the characteristics of the green flame, it is difficult to extinguish it with conventional means and can only be sealed. However, if such a huge scale is not dealt with in time, the consequences will be beyond anyone's estimation. Killing each other is not Shiraishi's first choice, but when it comes to a last resort, Shiraishi doesn't mind completely eradicating the Yamaji family, even if he tries to become a traitor. Fortunately, Yamaji Ryoko retreated at the last moment, and the Arakawa family and the elders intervened to mediate, temporarily suppressing the storm. The bloodstains on the wall were shocking. Killing would not bring any happiness to Shiraishi. The silver knife in his hand shone coldly in the moonlight. Is this the ninja world? He must speed up his growth. He must have at least cage level strength before the end of the ninja world war. The standard for a shadow level powerhouse is not measured in any way, but only by the amount of chakra, the number of secret techniques mastered, and the description of combat performance. Beishi, holding the silver knife, suddenly felt a little tired, closed his eyes gently, and fell into a short dream. In a bloody world. A giant bat was suspended in the sky. In the bloody atmosphere, its blood red wings spread out, spraying blood red foam all over the sky. Seeing this, Shiraishi formed a seal with his hands to fight, but he opened his eyes in an instant, and suddenly returned to the real world. I fell asleep. What happened in that scene just now? Since he had not yet put on his glasses, Shiraishi did not notice that a creature with unique qualities appeared in the psychic beast interface. All parties had a sleepless night tonight. Such a catastrophe encountered by the three Shadun lineages naturally aroused the anger of all the major families. At the meeting in the early morning of the next day, this group of people accompanied Chanlu Lingzi to the elders to attack. Among the elders, apart from Chiyo and Abizo, there were a group of people who were a little dissatisfied with Shiraishi's unscrupulous behavior. However, due to Chiyo and Abizo, they did not show up, but deep down, they also couldn't stand Shiraishi. Back then, Chiyo had overindulged Za, which later led to Za's rebellion in the village and suspicion of killing the Third Kazekage. Now this person is even more powerful and dares to kill his fellow villagers openly. Can such a person become the future Kazekage? Compared to others who were filled with indignation, Yamaji Ryoko was a little calm. After a night of careful consideration, her attitude and thoughts changed. Although she read a formal letter of accusation, she was thinking about other things in her heart. As long as the elders don't want civil strife in Sunagakure, they will definitely give us an explanation. The words of Iroquois Rakata last night are still vivid in my mind. As a member of the Iroquois family, he has a deeper vision and judgment, so there is no point in pestering Shiraishi for the meeting tomorrow. The attitude of the elders will definitely protect him. Rather than doing this, it is better to change the mode. A different mode. It depends on what kind of benefits the elders can offer in exchange. Having said this, Iroquois Rakata stepped forward and patted Chanlu Lingzi on the shoulder. Looking at his niece, he suddenly coughed violently. Uncle, what's wrong with you? Yamaji, Ryoko and Iroquois Meru were a little panicked, but saw Iroquois Rakata shake his head, wipe a trace of blood from the corner of his mouth, cheer up again, and his tone became sonorous and powerful again. Don't care about temporary gains and losses. Only when you calm down can you gain something. Since now is not the time, then wait for the next time to take action. Don't forget that our three sand escape veins are the direct descendants of Feng Ying. How can these two old guys in the elder group be able to? How long do you live? I see. During the meeting, Ibizo banged on the table, while Chiyo squinted his eyes and said coldly, Sanji Tachibana is just a retired ninja, not a working ninja. Secondly, he blatantly obstructed the sand memorial process and destroyed the internal affairs of Sunagakure. Unity, killing them is not a violation. As for the group of intruders, I can only say my condolences. When Chiyo spoke, he did not care about the expression on Yamaji Ryoko's face. It was obvious that after many conflicts and frictions during this period, the elders' patience and restraint towards the Yamaji family had reached their limit. If the conflict continues, it may cause indelible losses to both parties. Sunagakure cannot withstand civil strife. When Ibizo said this, his tone was slightly relaxed. Besides, our main topic today is not the Sand Memorial incident, but the expansion and reconstruction project of the Oasis Ring area. As Shiraishi is his only disciple, Ibizo naturally wants to keep it, but if the interests of the nobles are damaged, they can only use some special methods to make up for it. Several representatives of the big families were stunned for a moment. It was obvious that Ibizo suddenly brought up this matter, which was beyond their expectations. The tense atmosphere at the scene suddenly became subtle, because Shiraishi made a big fuss at the Sand Memorial ceremony. You reading www.ukanshu.net. At the same time, Shiraishi put on clean clothes and walked on the road to school holding a silver knife, as if what happened last night had never happened to him. When many villagers saw Shiraishi's appearance, they instinctively felt a little afraid. Although everyone was dissatisfied with the big family's domineering attitude towards the conflict between Shiraishi and the Yamaji family, Shiraishi slaughtered so many ninjas from the Yamaji family overnight, and this ferocity also frightened them. Facing the onlookers, Shiraishi walked very calmly. Along the way, Shiraishi felt that the changes in the villagers' emotions toward him were normal. In any case, the Shanlu family was indeed killed by him, and the blood flowed into a river, and the smell of blood was full of it. The strong should be feared, but for some reason, Shiraishi still felt awkward and incongruous. Stone, Cheng. Yuan's voice sounded, and this guy stepped forward with great concern. You guy, were you okay last night? Nodding. In response, Shirogakiji breathed a sigh of relief. I was really worried about you. I didn't expect them to come to your door. But last night, my father strictly prohibited me from going out and sent someone to pick up the papers. Thanks to Senior Cheng Yuan. This time, Shiraishi's heart was touched by the obvious attitude of the Shirogaki family, but Shirogakiji didn't care at all. Since we have become companions, we should help each other, right? But there is one more thing my father wants me to tell you. Shirogakiji said this with a slightly serious tone, obviously deliberately imitating his father. A strong man must not only have the courage to draw a sword, but also have to hold it back. The courage to put away the knife. A simple sentence made Shiraishi suddenly realize. Thank you for enlightening me. P.S. Keep asking for recommendations. Chapter 72. Dream Eating Bat. At the Sunagakure high-level meeting, Ibizo's proposal surprised many people, but the Iroquois and Yamaji families did not show any surprises, and it was rare for Yamaji Ryoko to look like she was listening attentively. Since the elders are determined to keep Beishi, they should offer enough benefits in exchange. Now comes the meaty show. This Shanlu Lingzi is no longer stupid today. The Oasis Ring area itself is located to the north of the outskirts of Sunagakure. According to the plan of the Elders Group, the agreement states that Sunagakure will continue to expand to the north, and a large amount of plants and ecological transformation will be invested to improve the quality of life and environment of the indigenous people in each ring area. According to the design drawings, many of the newly built mansions and houses are very large in area. Looking at the sketches, you can tell that they are very grand, far better than those in the old area of Oasis Ring District, and the prices are very cheap and reasonable. This is also very beneficial for going to school. The new Ninja Elite School was originally located in the northernmost part of the ring. Now with a new expansion area, the school has become the center of the Oasis Ring. All of a sudden, all the ninja families are active. It is obvious that after the sand sacrifice, in order to appease this group of nobles, the elders began to expand the Oasis Ring area and improve their residences. The only drawback is that the new ring area is too far from the Kazekage office of Sunagakure village and the core institutions of the village. But this is not a particularly important matter. Anyway, these big families don't want to get too close to those mud-legged people. Shanji Lingzi was very direct. She asked for the best piece of land in the Oasis Ring area. However, this piece of land is a bit far away from the main village, but such high quality land has always been coveted by Shanlu families in the past. This method is similar to the way Konoha treated the Uchiha clan. While the Kazekage is still dragged by that Suchikage to live in the Apocalypse Mountains, Ibizo and Chiyo prepare to implement this matter. Once the land project starts, it will be an opportunity for the entire Sunagakure family to seek benefits. Even if the Kazekage comes back and wants to stop it, it will be too late. This is also a benefit that can openly improve the living conditions of all parties, but the funds and resources needed are mainly for Sunagakure to sign a loan agreement with the Katajima family and then repay it at 7 points of interest every year. Considering the financial situation of Sunagakure, repayment can be carried out in batches, and there are many terms for repayment of land and materials, which are very large point. Although this series of agreements and plans were proposed by the Kitajima family on their own initiative, Ibizo and Chiyo suspected that Shiraishi might have been behind this, because this loan plan with sinister intentions was completely used to deceive the Kazekage. Point on the surface, the large amount of funds received by Kazekage will not affect Sunagakure's current main military expenditures, and there may even be more funds to use. But considering that there is a repayment period of more than 10 years in the future, this is a headache, and the Kitajima family still cooperates with the daimyo Niku to jointly invest. The daimyo was very interested in this model of lending money to Kazekage and getting back the interest. In the past, the Kitajima family didn't have so many ideas. This time, they suddenly proposed so many package plans, which was obviously related to Shiraishi. The amount of borrowed funds is very large, mainly used to activate the finances within Sunagakure village that are now almost exhausted. Although all the big families saw something fishy, this fish hook forced them to take the bait. After a series of meetings ended, Ibizo breathed a sigh of relief. Although this borrowing and expansion plan still required Feng Ying's consent, Rasa's current situation really couldn't refuse this delicious poison. Because refusing would offend the interests of all parties, Alyosha had to hold his nose and swallow it, and at the same time, continue to sell his place of gold to repay the village. Even Yamaji Riko's main intention is these interests. I thought she would continue to hold on to them. That old fox is here. How can he let her continue to misbehave? When Ibizo said this, he was a little worried about Shiraishi. He couldn't fault Shiraishi's handling of the conflict at the sand festival, but with the terrifying energy in the other courtyard, Ibizo was still worried that Shiraishi would go astray. He showed such calmness and indifference, which made the master very uneasy. Perhaps from the bottom of his heart, Ibizo really cares about Shiraishi, so he has this kind of emotion. Don't worry, he is actually more mature than we thought. Sensing her brother's change in mood, Chiyo laughed. Compared to Ibizo, she was an optimist herself. What's more, Chiyo's mother-in-law has always been a bit doting on her grandchildren's children, so she doesn't take them to heart. They don't dare to do anything unless the two of us die. Let's talk about the little guy's growth rate. Will anyone in Sunagakure village be able to deal with him in 10 years? If the Yamaji family still can't see the reality clearly, they will cling to the glory of the past 3 generations. But it's not necessarily a good thing. What about wealthy families? Where are the Senju clan of Konoha now? Decades ago, there were various blood successor families in the ninja world, large and small. How many of them are there now? The secret technique of controlling sand. Could it be that, if sand hadn't left them, no one would know it? Do not make jokes. The Sand Memorial was just the flashpoint of a series of conflicts during this period. Now that it has happened, the two have to find a way to reconcile. Otherwise, if there is a real internal division and war among the top management of Sunagakure, it will only give opportunities to external forces take point. The expansion of the Oasis Ring area is a way of easing conflicts proposed by the elders. Now it seems that the Shanlu family has calmed down for the time being, but after Alyosha returns, the hostility with the elders will probably become more intense. The next night, when I returned home to Shiraishi and was about to close my eyes to rest, the discomfort came over me again. Weird nightmares always appear from time to time, making Shiraishi wonder if there is something wrong with his mental state. For the next few consecutive nights, reading www.ukanshu.net, the same situation continued to happen, and Shiraishi finally realized the problem. Something strange is parasitic on me. Thinking of this, Shiraishi gently spread his mind power throughout his body, probed his body's chakra meridians, and soon discovered that there was indeed a unique chakra reaction in his brain, which should be caused by the invasion of alien energy. Suddenly, the environment around Beishi changed instantly, and strange blood-red foam surrounded and fell from the sky, dyeing the world red. At the same time, dark music sounded, bringing chilling sound waves to this world. Dream-eating creatures. In this world, there are some creatures that eat away at human spiritual power. They do not exist in entities themselves, but exist in the form of chakra. They usually appear in people's dreams and create nightmares. They like those mentally powerful ninjas best, clinging to them when they are resting, absorbing part of their spiritual energy to strengthen themselves. Some of these mutants even absorb the souls of dead ninjas. The fierce bloody fighting in Sunagakure village and Shiraishi's strong mental power, like an open fire in the night, attracted such creatures to appear and try to eat away at the opponent's mental power. Fortunately, Shiraishi himself had a strong will, so he quickly woke up from the nightmare. Beishi's exploration made the creature alert, and soon countless bloodshot lights appeared on Beishi's body, and then poured out from all directions, then gathered together again, and turned into a pair of blood-red wings. The sense of oppression suddenly increased. After a night of dormancy, this dream-eating creature had already transformed and evolved, becoming more powerful and difficult to deal with. Sensing the abnormality, Shiraishi opened the psychic beast interface in the glasses system and scanned the physical creatures in front of him. The dream-eating bat has a purple qualification level and has no entity. It can increase illusions for the caster. Chapter 73, Green Flame establishes power. Under the lock of Shiraishi's powerful mental power, the blood-red giant bat gradually condensed and took shape. After spitting out its vicious fangs, the countless blood-red foam generated around it turned into a bloody storm. Shiraishi was in it, feeling the changes and fluctuations of the surrounding chakra energy. His expression was solemn. The flying water shuriken in his hand shot out, but was accidentally assimilated by the bloody energy produced by the bubble. The sound waves surrounding him were like a ghostly symphony, giving him a chilling feeling. The elusive blood-colored foam is an ability built by Shiraishi and the Yamaji family ninjas during the fight, eating up the blood and soul chakra of both parties, and integrating them into his own body. Under the light of the blood-red moon, it turned into red threads of blood, surrounding each other like a spider web. The silver knife in Shiraishi's hand quickly cut off the blood threads, only to see the blood threads mutate into small bats and attack. Facing the attack, crystal clear foam appeared around Beishi. As these small bats were being defeated, the giant bats raised their wings and fired out countless bloody blades. Illusion or reality? Shiraishi condensed a whirlwind knife with one hand and tried to block it, but found that the blood-red blade penetrated directly through the whirlwind knife, leaving a slight scar on Shiraishi's body. The music transformed by the sound waves changed again, and the violent rhythm and impact made Shiraishi feel extremely uncomfortable, because some of the bat's abilities were closely related to him. The seemingly real and illusory battle made Shiraishi feel irritable. Absorbing so many dead souls and white stone chakra abilities, this bat's abilities are extremely tricky. A breakthrough must be made. Thinking that the light of Beishi's mental power was getting brighter and brighter, and his soaring mental power instantly broke through the restrictions of illusion. But he saw the body of the dream-eating bat spiraling up quickly, creating a huge storm intertwined with blood-red foam, and the surrounding space was distorted again. Another illusion. Strong murderous sound waves were spit out from the mouth of the dream-eating bat, and the sonic attack produced caused great distortion in the senses of the world around Shiraishi. The music then became more terrifying and weird, as if I was trapped in hell. A creature that was originally a dream eater, after its illusion ability was improved, Shiraishi was trapped in this bloody world. The blood-colored wings spread out, and the bat became larger and larger, falling from the sky like a ghost, and heading straight towards the white stone. When he saw the giant fangs preparing to swallow the white stone in one bite, a green flame began to burn from its body. Presumptuous, there was a loud explosion, and green flames swept through the bat's body. In the heart-rending scream, the fire that built the real world seemed to have a natural restraint on the dream-eating bat, destroying all illusions in powerful flames, leaving almost no chance for the dream-eating bat. Way to survive. In previous battles, Shiraishi focused on subduing bats, but he did not expect that its illusion ability was too strong and would pose a serious danger to Shiraishi. As a last resort, Shiraishi activated his own green flames and exploded directly on the dream-eating bat. The ferocious power of King Iron, as powerful as a dream-eating bat, was unable to resist this move. The dream-eating bat's character is more cruel and cunning than the desert blood wolf. If he hadn't caught it off guard by suddenly shooting out green flames, otherwise he would have been controlled by it today and would be trapped in an illusion forever. The power of the green flame can also exert its power in the illusory world. as the surrounding scenes were destroyed bit by the green flame. When Beishi returned to the real world, he saw only a drop of blood falling into his hand. Could it be that this is a life energy of the dream-eating bat? The dream-eating bat is supposed to be completely destroyed by the power of the green flame, but it doesn't seem to be entirely true now. However, Beishi was sweating profusely now. Using the green flame once would cause great damage to him. After the triangular sand tower he created barely sealed the green flame. The drop of blood on his hand reacted with the glasses system. Do you want to perform absorption conversion? After obtaining Shiraishi's consent, a virtual eggshell card appeared in the glasses system, appearing in the second card slot. It turns out that, after absorbing this drop of blood, the glasses system transformed according to this life energy, and created a new psychic beast. Judging from the progress bar, it will take some time for the psychic beast to break out of its shell, so Shiraishi put aside this matter for the time being, and focused on the upcoming joint jounin exams of Sunagakure and Iwagakure. Before leaving, the three of them practiced Shiraishi's whirlwind sword and some miscellaneous methods. Among them, Morimoto Raji also learned basic medical ninjutsu. This would help strengthen the three people's ability to survive the Chunin examination, but soon news came from the front that there were certain casualties on Sunagakure's side during the Chunin examination. This news made Shiraishi's face change drastically. Explosive escape hunt. A strange name appeared in the intelligence records. It was obvious that this explosive escape blood successor ninja was Iwagakure's hidden trump card this time, used to suppress everyone in Sunagakure. Although they are strong, I believe in them more, rather than this. I'm more concerned about the fact that the prototype of illusions like Mirage was developed by you. Detailed records of the battle between Shiraishi and the Yamaji family have been released. When Abizo was reading the report, he accidentally discovered that Shiraishi had combined the foam technique and the black mist technique to develop a unique mirage illusion technique. Seeing Abizo's reaction, Shiraishi suddenly had a strange illusion. Could there be ninjas with similar methods in the ninja world in the past? Have you ever heard of the Ghost Lantern Clan, the big Shirogakure family? Reading www.ukanshu.net is more famous for its second generation Mizukage Demon and Demon Moon. Shiraishi worked hard to search for information, but the information he obtained was still very limited. Shiragakure's confidentiality policy was so successful that neither he nor his enemies knew the abilities of previous generations of Mizukage. Since the death of the second Mizukage, his secret technique has been lost among the Oniden clan. The Ghost Lantern Clan, a mysterious family in Shirogakure village, has special abilities based on genetics, but they are not limited to blood inheritance. The most representative figure in the family is the second generation Mizukage Kito Jinjutsu of Shirogakure village. Today, Kito Mainjutsu, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen in Shirogakure village, also comes from this family. Shiraishi's research and development of ninjutsu inadvertently developed the lost mirage illusion of the Oniden clan, which really made Ibizo proud. Now, I'm looking forward to the follow-up development of your spark technique. At first, Shiraishi classified the spark technique as a sea level escape technique. Now the mirage combined with the bubble technique and the black mist technique allowed Abizo to determine that Shiraishi might have some theory to evolve the spark technique. The combination of burning escape and spark technique can create a unique fire escape. The technique of Kingayan will inevitably be discovered in the future, so Shiraishi first uses sparks and scorching escape, so that the so-called independently developed Kingayan can appear in the world in an upright and bright way. Burning escape. No wonder I felt a chakra reaction similar to burning powder or burning escape in your courtyard that day. P.S. I really didn't have time to save the manuscript today. I just got home and typed for an hour. For the second update, I will stay up late and finish writing at noon. I would like to ask for some recommendations. The new book will need support for the next period of time. Chapter 74, Chunin Examination. Ye Cang's burning release is essentially a kind of blood inheritance, which is a natural combination of two chakra attributes. In fact, Ye Cang's family is not a special blood family, but a very ordinary ninja family, so awakening the burning release may be a godsend. Point in terms of opinions on the use of fire type escape techniques, Ye Cang is also considered an authority among Sunagakure, and some of his opinions in many letters are clearer than Abizo's regarding the practice of spark technique. Shiraishi still conducts daily simulation tests step by step. The existence of this technique is to highlight the appearance of King Iron in the future. Point mentioning King Iron, Shiraishi still felt scared for a while. The dream-eating bat with strong illusion ability was mercilessly burned to death by King Iron. You can imagine the destructive power of this technique. After reaching 100% proficiency point on the Apocalypse Mountains, the joint Chunin exams have entered the second half of the second round, and powerful genin from Iwagakure have gradually appeared one by one, especially the appearance of Bakudashiri, which has caused heavy casualties to Sunagakure almost every time. Where are the ninjas from the medical class? Ran is dying. The heartbreaking roar was replaced by silence all around, which was beyond the expectations of all genin and Iwagakure. This time Sunagakure did not bring enough medical classes during the Chunin examination. Point even within the escort team around Kazekage, the medical class was ineffective, because these people were transferred to other places due to missions. Most of the genin who took the exam solved medical problems on their own. Point this is a situation I have never encountered since I got the profession of medical ninja. Not only were the Sunagakure genin surprised, but even Iwagakure couldn't understand Rasa's subtle operation. Point it seemed that he wanted these children to die more than Anoki. Point in fact, after Alyosha learned about the incident at the Yamaji family, the Kazekage-sama was very unhappy. He even couldn't stand the students taught by Shiraishi. He even dismissed the medical class because of his dissatisfaction. In other words, how can such precious medical resources be wasted on these idiots? Knives and explosions intertwined on the mountain battlefield. Nagase Bizun faced Bakudashiri, and the sword in his hand flashed with a powerful whirlwind blade and shot out. During the fight between the two sides, Nagase Bizun turned sideways and blasted out the telekinetic sword. But he was caught and controlled by Kari. Got you. Whoever catches who. There was a loud explosion, and Nagase Bizun's whole body was blown into a bloody mass. At the same time, Kari was severely injured by a powerful whirlwind sword and could not continue to pursue Sunagakure and this group of very powerful genin. Point at the end of this stage of the assessment, the Iwagakure side's medical team immediately started to rescue the hunter. Compared to Sunagakure's side, it was really miserable. There was not a single medical ninja. It was just a few children who had learned basic medical ninjutsu to help each other. In order to attack the teacher, the Kazekage lowered the status of our Chunin exams and did not even equip medical ninjas. This is too much, Nagase Bizun said with a pale face that he and his companions had previously faced off against the explosive hunters deep in the mountains. Faced with the terrifying explosive power, Nagase Bizun had to cover the retreat of other companions and restrain the explosive hunters alone, and was severely injured in the arm. The blood covered the entire arm. If not treated in time, Nagase Bizun would probably be disabled. Unexpectedly, just before the second stage of the assessment, he met Kari again. Nagase Bizun, who was desperate for his life, tried every means to finally he was able to fight off the hunter, but his injuries were more serious. Stop talking, Morimoto. Ryaji crossed his hands, and under the skillful light, he provided emergency assistance to Nagase Bizun. At the same time, he also handed the prepared military pills and therapeutic potions to Nagase Bizun. Point as one of the three most valued genin of Shiraishi, Morimoto Ryaji followed Shiraishi's requirements and learned basic medical techniques and medicine preparation before leaving Sunagakure. In addition, there are more than a dozen such genin, which can effectively alleviate the Kazekage's malicious intent. Questions about taking medical classes. Shinome also lost her usual joyful smile. Seeing so many companions disappearing one by one, she felt extremely angry inside. The ox-headed moon in her hand reflected a fierce light. Point at present, it would not be a big problem for Nagase Bizun to rest for a while. But through this incident, most of the genin who participated in the Chunin exam felt Rata's indifferent attitude, and their favorable impression of the Kazekage almost dropped to the freezing point. The attitude of the genin towards this Kazekage must be something we can learn from. Anoki, the third Kazekage, slowly looked at the group of people around him. He couldn't help but lament that the current country of wind had degenerated into this in less than 2 years. There would be such fierce conflicts between his genin and Kazekage, and they didn't even have medical ninjas. Deliberately wanting to send them to death. Feng Ying's spirit is very narrow. It may have something to do with what happened at the sand sacrifice. The person in charge of the intelligence department quickly reported to Anoki everything that happened at the sand festival, as well as the attack on Shiraishi by the Yamaji family. The incident of Sand Memorial had a great impact, because Shiraishi publicly beheaded an elder of a large family. This cruel approach was tantamount to provoking internal conflicts within Sunagakure. Is there a conflict between the elders and the nobles? Anoki pondered for a moment. Perhaps the time to start a war with Sunagakure has come, since Sunagakure is suspected of falling into civil strife. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Iwagakure will not miss this opportunity and directly send troops to Huanglang to occupy Sunagakure village. Not only Iwagakure, but also Konoha is ready to take action. Compared with Iwagakure's slightly simple information, Orochimaru's information was more detailed, including a new illusion used by Shiraishi during the battle. It's a method very similar to the secret technique of the second generation Mizukage in history. Even Shirogakure himself didn't know much about the deeds of the second generation Mizukage, but Orochimaru had it at his fingertips. However, the more he read through Shiraishi's information, the harder Orochimaru's tongue licked, and stars seemed to appear in his eyes after Orochimaru read through the information. He had a basic understanding of the principles of the lost secret arts of the Oniden family. Compared to this matter, all he could think of was the young boy who had just caught a glimpse of him at Mount Kikayo. Black Mist Shiraishi is an existence that I can look forward to. I hope we can have a good communication next time we meet. From the human body secret technique to the current mirage illusion technique, Shiraishi has created quite a surprise every once in a while, so the genius of Sunagakure has now officially entered Orochimaru's sight. Jiraiya and Minato, you are all here. In the dark night, just as Orochimaru walked out, Jiraiya, Namake's Minato and a silver-haired boy appeared outside the camp. Jiraiya, Namake's Minato and White Fang's son. It seems that the Hokage is very concerned about the upcoming battle at Mount Kikayo. This is Hokage-sama's appointment letter. We have all been transferred here for the war at Mount Kikayo. The delay on Mount Kikayo for more than a year finally made most of Konoha's top brass, including the third Hokage, lose their patience and decided to go all out to capture Mount Kikayo and end the war with Sunagakure. PS. Please recommend chapter 75, Anoki's murderous intention. The joint Chunin exam between Sunagakure and Iwagakure finally came to an end after 15 days of confrontation and running in point in the semi-finals. Hashirome faced the powerful explosion hunter in front of him and unexpectedly burst out with extremely ferocious explosive power. The bull-headed moon danced like a tiger and tiger, leaving no room for the opponent. Combining the wind escape with his own strength, as well as the special electric power on the weapon, he directly suppressed the blast escape hunter in a small space of movement, and transformed into a spear and double swords with Niotayu. Hashirome held the double swords and pounced fiercely. Although he is young, Hashirome moves like a ferocious beast. Moment before facing Hashinome's terrifying beheading attack, Hashirome surrenders and quits the battle. This guy actually surrendered. What about his integrity? The reason why Hashirome is so murderous is because many of his comrades died at the hands of the blasters, and the death was very tragic. In order to avenge his companions, he almost fought with the goal of killing the blasters. Unfortunately, Kerry reacted quickly and surrendered during the battle, causing her to lose a precious opportunity. After all, the surrounding Iwagakure Jonin's were all watching the battle. If he made any move, he might be killed on the spot. In the next finals, Hashirome defeated Morimoto Ryoharu and won the first place in the joint Chunin examination. At the same time, Nagase Bizun and Bakuto Kari tied for third place. The above 4 people were directly promoted to Chunin. On the podium, Unoki, who was sitting next to Rata, had an ugly expression. Except for the explosion hunter, most of the Iwa ninja on his side were eliminated in this competition. As for Sunagakure as a whole, of the 90 genin who participated in the competition, 15 died in battle and 11 were promoted to chunin. Although the number is not large, compared to Iwagakure's heavy losses, Sunagakure can be said to have won a great victory. This is the honor that Ashinome and the other 3 fought for with their lives, when there was no support from all aspects of the medical team. In the past history, Sunagakure was once a great ninja village second only to Konoha village in terms of population and strength. With its decline over the years, it is rare to see such a powerful Sunagakure appear on the competition stage. The 3 Hoshino dancers have gone through this period of training. They have long since shed their immaturity when they graduated and have become more mature. However, Rasa's mood soon deteriorated. The fruit of victory in the joint chunin examination this time did not belong to the Kazekage. The previous willful transfer from the medical class had already alienated these genin. The public schools in your village are really amazing. Maybe Iwagakure should learn from your and Konoha's educational policies in the future. Unoki's insincere words seemed to be mocking Rata, which made the young 4th Kazekage look gloomy. Lord Kazekage, there is something unusual over there at Iwagakure. We must leave immediately. Just as all parties involved in the chunin exam were preparing for the second night of the celebration ceremony, Sunagakure noticed something unusual about Iwagakure. Under Maki's arrangement, Rasa quietly evacuated the Apocalypse Mountains. However, due to insufficient preparations, she was very upset when she left. Embarrassed. The so-called celebration ceremony, if left tonight, may be ambushed and attacked by Iwagakure. The defense line of the Apocalypse Mountains is still very weak. In addition, during this time, during the chunin examination, Iwagakure's deployment has intensified, causing Sunagakure to control in this area is weak. Luosha's face was still in a bad mood when she retreated. The conflict at the Sand Festival was clearly recorded by Enbu. She secretly cursed the Sanji family for doing bad things. At the same time, she was also a little angry at Shiraishi's unscrupulous style. How dare he kill someone? In addition to this matter, the expansion of the Oasis Ring area made him feel as uncomfortable as if he had eaten a fly. The group of elders promised so many benefits to those big families, but it was themselves who paid for them. Although they all thought of borrowing funds for themselves and asked the Bideo family and the Daimyo for it, the huge repayment period in the future made Luosha worried. An urge to vomit blood. The trouble didn't end there. Due to the outstanding performance of ninjas from public schools, the elders criticized themselves in the assessment for the number of graduate genin. As a Kazekage, he had too few things to do on his own. It seems that the elders are always a threat and must find a way to deal with it. But before that, the Iwagakure problem also needs to be dealt with. Internal and external troubles gave Luosha a headache, but the tense situation prevented him from immediately retaliating against the elders. There's an ambush. Unexpectedly, Kune shot out from all directions, heading straight for Luosha's position. The terrifying detonating talisman exploded continuously, bursting out with powerful energy. It's Iwagakure. Luosha's expression was ugly. In a small exit area at the outermost edge of the Apocalypse Mountains, an Iwagakure ambush appeared. However, judging from the number of Kune thrown, the number of ninjas sent by Iwagakure was at least about 1,000. And they are still very elite Iwagakure troops. Sand gold pours out of the sky from all directions. As a shadow level powerhouse, and in a desert environment, Luosha's strength is still very terrifying. With one move of sand escape, Luosha turns into a giant wall, protecting all the genin and accompanying guards faced with the Iwagakure attack. Luosha suddenly regretted transferring the medical team away, which resulted in a serious imbalance in his side's combat power. Form your own defense. These genin were all trained through the chunin exams, and they reacted very quickly. At the same time as they held the ninja tools in their hands, Maki and other jounin also began to engage in combat with the enemy masters. Earth release aggravated rock technique. Unoki's strong tone appeared, and the top of sand gold suddenly became heavier. Luosha's face changed, and the sand escape in his hand was a little unbalanced. During the process, Unoki, the third Kazekage, punched violently. Compared to the Inoki who would dodge at every turn a few decades later, Inoki is currently the same as Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage of Konoha. Although they have just passed their prime, they are also extremely experienced in fighting enemies. At their current age, perhaps the person with the strongest overall strength in his life. Alyosha was completely suppressed by Inoki. UU Reading www.ukanshu.net. They were both at the film level, but they were still very different. Even though the environment was blessed, Alyosha was breathless with just one move of the aggravating rock technique. This Lord Kazekage's methods of fighting enemies are not rich enough. The battle between Magi and Lois was also particularly dangerous. He, who had just become a jounin, faced off against the eldest son of that Kazekage, Lochi, with his terrifying chakra explosive power, which almost caused Magi to suffer a lot and leave him with scars. It's Kazekage, you are really openly making war on Sunagakure. At this point, Kazekage-sama, you are joking. The performance and potential of these genin and the joint jounin examination made Inoki determined to set up an ambush in the Apocalypse Mountains to kill the Kazekage and this genin team. In addition to ambushing more than 1,000 Iwagakure ninjas around, Inoki also led a team of more than 1,000 people. Rasa's side was less than 200, a 10-to-1 outnumber. We must deal with the Kazekage here, even if Sunagakure gets crazy revenge. He doesn't care either. After killing Feng Ying, I'm afraid the elders and the nobles headed by the Shadun family will start fighting among themselves, right? At the same time, outside Sunagakure village, Shiraishi held a silver knife and rushed to the gathering area outside Sunagakure village at very high speed. In addition to Shiraishi, under the current mobilization of the elders, a group of elite teams from Sunagakure have begun to dispatch. This time Shiraishi teamed up with Shirogakiji Tsumugi and set out again. Before Asa left the Apocalypse Mountains, she issued a mobilization order, and the subsequent interruption of contact made Sunagakure realize that something had happened in the joint jounin examination. Therefore, the garrison troops of the Apocalypse Mountains were preparing to move in to respond. At the same time, Sunagakure was also preparing to send out teams one after another. But midway, Iroquois Meru, who saw Shiraishi at the gathering place, hesitated and walked forward and said to Shiraishi, "In fact, you are not suitable to participate in the mission for this rescue operation." Iroquois Meru's words suddenly changed the atmosphere around him. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.